In every corner of America, there are stories buried in silence. These are the stories that don't show up in travel books or local guides. The kind that are whispered only in dark rooms, behind closed doors, and only spoken when the clock ticks past midnight. Tonight, you'll hear 10 of the most terrifying true horror stories from across the United States. But don't expect the usual ghosts and monsters. These are the stories that haunt people long after they've left the scene. The stories that turn once safe places into something else entirely. From haunted roads in the deep south, to hidden forests that hold secrets best left untouched, to people who vanished without a trace, leaving only the echo of their last scream. These are the stories that shouldn't be told, but tonight, we tell them. Listen carefully, because once these stories are in your mind, they won't be easy to forget. You're driving alone at night, the road stretching endlessly before you, when something catches your eye. A car, old and battered, sitting motionless on the side of a deserted crossing. It's not the car that stops your heart. It's the figure inside, staring straight ahead as if they've been waiting for you. That's what I saw, and what started as a curious glance became a moment I can't escape. I was driving late at night on a quiet road when I stopped at a crossing. This is my story, and it's going to make you rethink those empty roads you travel. It was a crisp autumn night in 2019, and I was navigating the back roads of rural Ohio, a shortcut I'd taken a dozen times before. I'd been visiting a friend in a nearby town, and the drive home was a familiar slog. Miles of fields, patches of woods, and the occasional flicker of a farmhouse light. My sedan rattled along, the radio cutting in and out, the hum of the engine. My only company. The world felt still, the kind of quiet that makes you forget there's anyone else out there. I wasn't expecting anything unusual. I'm a mechanic, used to long drives, unfazed by the dark. I don't drive that road anymore, not at night, but back then it was just another route to the highway, a way to shave a few minutes off the trip. The crossing where it happened was unremarkable. A four-way stop with a single street light, its bulb buzzing like it was ready to give out. No cars, no houses, just the road and the night, stretching into nowhere. My name's Lucas, and I've never been one for overthinking shadows or spinning tall tales. But that night, something shifted. Something I can't explain. I was driving late at night on a quiet road when I stopped at a crossing, and what I saw there wasn't just a passing glance. It was a moment that clawed its way into my memory, leaving me questioning what's out there in the dark. Stay with me, because this true story is about to take you somewhere you won't forget. I eased my car to a stop at the crossing, the engine idling as I glanced left and right. The road was deserted, the stop sign swaying slightly in the wind. That's when I noticed it. A beat-up old sedan parked crookedly on the shoulder, its paint chipped and windows smudged with grime. There was this old woman sitting in a beat-up car parked on the side. She was in the driver's seat, motionless, her head turned toward me, and even in the dim streetlight I could see her face. Her skin was gray, almost lifeless, like it didn't belong to a living person. I froze, my hands tightening on the wheel. She wasn't just old. She looked wrong, her face gaunt, her cheeks sunken like she'd been drained of color. Her eyes were the worst, sharp, unblinking, like they saw right through me. They weren't just looking at me. They were piercing, cold, like they knew something I didn't want to know. I got this chill, this deep unease, and I didn't know why. It wasn't just her appearance. It was the way she sat, rigid, her hands gripping the wheel, her stare unrelenting, as if she'd been waiting for me. I tried to look away, to focus on the road, but her eyes held me, pinning me in place. The streetlight flickered, casting her face in and out of shadow, and each time it lit up, her stare seemed sharper, more intense. It felt like her stare was following me even after I drove away. My heart pounded, a primal fear I couldn't explain. She didn't move, didn't blink, just watched. Her lips curved in a faint, unsettling smile that made my skin crawl. I told myself she was just an old lady, maybe lost, maybe confused, but nothing about her felt right. I fumbled with the gear shift, my hands clumsy, desperate to move. "Come on, Lucas, just go," I muttered, but my foot hesitated on the gas. I glanced at her again, hoping she'd look away, but she didn't. Her eyes seemed to glow, catching the light in a way that wasn't natural, like they were pulling me in. I got this chill, this deep unease, and I didn't know why. The air in the car felt heavy, the radio static now a low, eerie hum. I swear I heard a sound, a faint tap, like fingers on glass. But when I checked, my windows were up, the doors locked. I couldn't take it anymore. I hit the gas and got out of there as fast as I could. My tires squealed as I peeled away, the crossing shrinking in my rearview mirror. I kept checking the mirror, expecting to see her car following, its headlights glaring, but the road was empty, the night swallowing everything. My hands shook, my breath ragged as I pushed the car faster, the highway lights a blur. It felt like her stare was following me, even after I drove away. That face, those eyes, they were burned into my mind, a snapshot I couldn't shake. Drove for miles, my heart still racing, the unease clinging to me like damp fog. I tried to rationalize it. She was just an old woman, maybe sick, maybe drunk, parked on a lonely road. But her skin, her eyes, that smile, they weren't normal. They were wrong, like she wasn't entirely human, like she was something else watching me for reasons I'd never understand. I pulled into a gas station, the neon lights a harsh contrast to the dark, and sat there, gripping the wheel, trying to calm down. The world felt different, like I'd glimpsed something I wasn't meant to see. I looked back toward the road, half expecting to see her car idling in the distance. But there was nothing. Just the hum of the gas pumps and the flicker of a moth against the light. I wanted to forget her, to chalk it up to a tired mind, but that chill, that fear was real. Her eyes were the worst, sharp, unblinking, like they saw right through me. I knew I'd never take that road again, not at night, not ever. Something about that woman had marked me, and I wasn't sure I'd escaped her gaze. The drive home was a blur, my mind stuck on that woman's face. That encounter left me shaken, always looking over my shoulder. I kept checking my mirrors, expecting to see her car trailing me, those eyes glowing in the dark. Every shadow on the road, every flicker of light felt like her, watching, waiting. I don't drive that road anymore, not at night. Sleep didn't come that night. I lay awake, her gray skin and piercing stare replaying like a loop, the chill from that crossing lingering in my bones. The next day, I couldn't shake it. I told a coworker, Hannah, about it, expecting her to laugh it off. Instead, her face tightened. "You saw her?" she asked, her voice low. Later, I heard rumors about an old woman seen on empty roads, tied to weird stuff happening around town. Hannah said locals whispered about a woman like that, gray-skinned, eyes like ice, spotted on back roads over the years. Some said she was a drifter, others a recluse, but the stories always ended the same. Strange accidents, missing pets, people feeling watched after seeing her. "No one knows who she is," Hannah said, "but you don't mess with her." I dug deeper, asking around at the diner, the gas station, anywhere locals gathered. Most brushed it off, but an older bartender, Frank, gave me a knowing look. "Seen her type before," he said, wiping a glass. "Shows upstairs, then she's gone. Folks say she's bad news." He wouldn't elaborate, but his words hit hard. Later, I heard rumors about an old woman seen on empty roads, tied to weird stuff happening around town. I checked online, finding scattered posts on local forums, drivers reporting a woman matching her description, always at night, always alone, always leaving them rattled. One post mentioned a car crash a mile from that crossing, the driver swearing he'd seen her just before. The stories fed my unease. Had she been watching me specifically, or was I just another face on her road? That encounter left me shaken, always looking over my shoulder. I started noticing things. A faint tap on my car window at night. A shadow moving too fast in my peripheral vision. Were they real, or was my mind playing tricks? I couldn't tell, but the fear was constant, turning every drive into a test of nerves. I take longer routes, avoid empty roads, but her face was always there, lurking in my thoughts. I called my friend from that night, hoping he'd seen something on his drive home. He hadn't, but he remembered a story from his uncle. A woman like her, seen decades ago, linked to a missing hitchhiker. Probably just talk, he said, but his voice wavered. The more I heard, the worse it got. I don't drive that road anymore, not at night. That crossing, that woman, had become a warning, a line I wouldn't cross again. I didn't know what she was, but I knew she wasn't just an old lady, and I wasn't eager to find out what she wanted. That night at the crossing didn't just spook me, it changed how I see the dark. I don't drive that road anymore, not at night. I used to think empty roads were just that. Empty, safe, a place to clear my head. But her gray face, those unblinking eyes, showed me that some shadows hide things you're not meant to meet. That encounter left me shaken, always looking over my shoulder. The memory of her stare, that chill I couldn't explain, lingers like a warning I'll never ignore. I'm more cautious now, my eyes scanning every roadside, every parked car for a glimpse of her. I don't drive alone at night if I can help it. And when I do, I keep the radio off, listening for anything out of place. Her eyes were the worst, sharp, unblinking, like they saw right through me. That moment, that woman, taught me that the world holds mysteries we can't name. And sometimes they look back at you. I'm not the same Lucas who rolled through that crossing, tired but carefree. I'm someone who knows that danger doesn't always announce itself. It just watches. The lesson is simple, but heavy. Trust your gut when it tells you something's wrong. That chill, that urge to flee, it wasn't just nerves, it was survival, screaming at me to move. I listened, and it got me out, but I wonder what would have happened if I'd stayed, if I'd met her gaze a second longer. I got this chill, this deep unease, and I didn't know why. I've learned to heed that instinct, to question the quiet, to never assume the dark is empty. That woman, whatever she was, showed me that some encounters leave you marked, even if you never understand why. I still don't know who or what she was. A loner with a strange habit? A figure from those rumors tied to accidents and disappearances? Or something else? Something that doesn't belong on our roads? Later, I heard rumors about an old woman seen on empty roads, tied to weird stuff, happening around town. The taps, the shadows, the stories. They're pieces of a puzzle I can't solve, and that uncertainty keeps me vigilant, keeps me glancing at my mirrors, waiting for her eyes to find me again. I check local news, half expecting a report of her, but there's nothing. She's a ghost, a fleeting terror, and that's what scares me most. She's still out there watching someone else. So I'm asking you, have you ever seen someone who didn't belong, whose presence chilled you to the core for no reason you could name? A face, a stare, a moment that left you shaken? Share your story, because these encounters aren't just scares. They're signals, reminders to trust your instincts in a world full of shadows. And if you ever see an old woman with gray skin and eyes like knives, don't stop. Drive, and don't look back. The cornfield stretches into the night, a sea of shadows under a moonless sky. Fog clings to the ground, and then I hear it, a voice floating above, like a ghost in the air. It's not from anywhere, just there, whispering my name. My name's Hannah Riley, and I'm walking home through this desolate field. No one's around, but the sound is real, chilling my bones. It calls again, Hannah, from the sky, from nowhere. My heart races, my flashlight trembling. I look but see nothing, only darkness, only fear. The voice haunts me and I run, the terror chasing me. What's calling your name in the dark? I've walked this path 100 times, a shortcut from town to my farmhouse in rural Iowa. It's quiet, familiar, but tonight it's wrong. The air is thick, the voice hovering, sourceless like a specter. I'm not one for ghost stories, but this isn't my imagination. It's real, a whisper that knows me, and it's watching. The corn rustles, though there's no wind, and the fog swirls, forming shapes that vanish when I look. I grip my flashlight, its beam weak against the dark, my breath visible in the cold. I stop, listening, trying to pinpoint the voice. It's above, around, nowhere, saying things I can't make out. Hannah! It calls again, clear and sharp, like it's standing over me. I spin, sweeping the light, but the field is empty, the stars hidden by clouds. The fear is visceral, a weight on my chest. I walk faster, the path stretching endlessly, the corn closing in. A new sound, a hum, low and rhythmic, like a chant from the earth itself. My skin crawls. Is it human or something else? I try my phone, no signal, the screen flickering. The hum grows, the voice weaving through it, now a chorus. Stay! I bolt, my boots pounding the dirt, the flashlight bouncing. I run home. The voice following. The fear a shadow I can't escape. The farmhouse is close, its porch light a beacon, but the voice is closer. In my head. In the air. The memory of that night lingers. A terror I can't shake. Something's out there, and it knows me. I need to know what it is before it calls again. I locked the farmhouse door, my hands shaking, the voice still ringing in my ears. The fear from that night clung to me, a shadow I couldn't shake. I checked every window, every lock, but the hum lingered, faint but persistent, like it was inside the walls. The voice was real, floating above, knowing my name. I tried to sleep, but the darkness pressed in, the cornfield outside my window too alive, too watchful. I couldn't find its source no matter how I looked. It wasn't just a sound, it was a presence, and it wanted me. The next day I went to town seeking answers. Caleb, an old farmer who knew every inch of these fields, listened to my story, his face grim. That field's cursed, he said. Folks have heard things for years. Voices, names from the sky. He told me about a ritual in the 1800s. A group of settlers who tried to summon something, leaving symbols in the earth. They vanished and the field never grew right after. I found a photo in the town archives, grainy but chilling. The field in 1890, marked with circles of stones, now buried under corn. Caleb pointed to a spot on a map, the exact path I'd walked. The voices were there, in the air, with no one to claim them. I returned to the field at dusk, flashlight in hand, heart pounding. The fog was thicker, the corn rustling without. Wind. They called my name again from above, from nowhere. I followed the sound, the hum growing, leading to a clearing. In the center was a stone, half buried, carved with symbols like the photo. I touched it and the air shifted, colder, heavier. The voice spoke, not a whisper now. You're here. My flashlight died, the fog swirling into shapes, faces fleeting gone. The terror was real, a presence watching, waiting. I ran, the corn grabbing at me, the voice chanting, "Stay, Hannah." I reached the farmhouse, locking the door, but the hum was inside now, in my head, in my bones. The field wasn't just haunted, it was alive. The hum was a pulse, shaking the farmhouse walls. I clutched the kitchen counter, the voice still chanting, "Stay, Hannah." It was in the air, sourceless, a ghost that knew me. The windows rattled, the fog outside thicker, pressing against the glass. No one was there, but the voice was real, terrifying. I lit every light, but the shadows grew, curling like fingers. It called my name, from the sky, from nowhere. I needed to face it, or it would never stop. The fear was a chain, but I ran back to the field. The cornfield was a maze, the fog a shroud. My flashlight flickered, the symbols on the stone glowing faintly. The voice roared now, "You can't leave." I looked, saw nothing, but felt it, watching, waiting. The corn parted, revealing a figure, not human, not solid, its eyes like stars burning. It reached for me, its touch a chill that burned. I screamed, stumbling back, the symbols flaring red, the hum a scream. I ran, the figure following, its steps silent but heavy. The fog swirled, forming more faces, settlers maybe, trapped in the field. A new sound, a chant, not mine, from the earth, in a language I didn't know. I tripped, finding a journal, half buried, its pages brittle. It was from 1879, a settler's warning of the caller, a thing they woke bound to the field. "It takes your name," it read, "and then your soul." My heart stopped. Was that it? The figure loomed, its eyes endless. I grabbed the journal, sprinting, the chant louder, the corn grabbing at me. The farmhouse was close, but the voice was closer. "You're mine." I locked the door, the hum shaking the walls. Caleb's words echoed. Rituals, symbols. I drew, a circle with salt, chanting words from the journal, the air crackling. The voice stopped, but the fear didn't. The presence lingering. The figure's eyes glowed outside, fading, but not gone. The field wasn't just a place. It was a trap. The salt circle held, the hum fading, but the farmhouse felt alive, its walls watching. The ritual had quieted the voice, but it wasn't gone. The journal lay open, its warning clear. The caller takes your name. I'd heard it, felt it, a presence with no form. I needed to end it. For me, for the settlers, trapped in that field. The fear was a weight, but I faced it, running from the dark. Caleb came, his face grim, carrying a book. His great-grandfather's, a settler's diary, detailing the caller's binding. The caller wasn't a ghost. It was older, a force the settlers woke, feeding on fear, binding itself to the field. They'd tried to trap it, burning the stones, but it survived, waiting for names to claim. The voices were its lure, calling from the sky. I remembered the faces in the fog, their eyes pleading. We had to seal it. Caleb drew a new circle, placing the journal in the center. "Name it," he said, "and burn it." I whispered caller, and lit the journal, the flames roaring, the symbols flaring. The air screamed, the fog outside swirling, the figures' eyes glowing through the window. I chanted the diary's words, the salt glowing, the scream fading. The house stilled, the hum gone, but the field rustled, a warning. The terror lingered, a shadow of that night. I left the farmhouse. Caleb's book burned to ash, but the collar wasn't destroyed, just bound for now. I moved to town, unable to stay. The field is quiet, but farmers avoid it, whispering of voices. The voice haunts me, its echo in my dreams. I keep the settler's stone locked away, its symbols a reminder. The caller is still there, waiting for someone else to walk that path, to hear its call. Something was out there, and it's not done with me. The night is never silent now, it's listening, always listening. I don't walk alone at night anymore. The field's call is too strong, its voice is too real. The fear from that night is chained. The callers whisper in my mind. I'm in town now, but I'm not free. It knew my name and it's not gone. Caleb checks on me, his eyes heavy with guilt. He burned the last of his great-grandfather's notes, but I kept a page, hidden, its words a warning. It never sleeps. The field is silent, but its shadow follows me. I tried researching the caller, but history buries its tracks. A librarian, an old friend of Caleb's, found a tale, a native legend of a spirit bound to the land, woken by greed. The settlers stirred it, and it's never left. I called Caleb, his voice shaking. I heard it in my field. My blood ran cold. It's not just my field, it's everywhere, in the quiet, in the dark. Last week I found a symbol carved on my door, faint but clear like the stones. The hum is back in my apartment, in my dreams. I lock the doors, keep the lights on, but it's there in the silence, the air. I'm still scared knowing it's not over. The caller isn't bound forever. It's waiting, patient, eternal. Every field, every quiet place holds something. You hear it when the night is still. Feel it when the air is heavy. I'm telling you this because you need to listen. What's whispering in your dark? Who's calling when no one's there? I faced it, and it marked me. If you hear your name, in the night don't answer, because some voices take you, and they never let go. A child's drawing of my son, Chris, lay on my kitchen counter. Its crayon lines fresh, signed Ryan in a stranger's scrawl. I froze, my heart slamming, knowing no one but me and Chris had been in our trailer last night. Ryan was just a regular at the diner where I worked, a middle-aged guy with a warm smile who tipped well and asked about my day. But that drawing, he couldn't have it, shouldn't have it. He seemed so normal, so friendly, always chatting about my shifts, my kid, like we were old friends. I thought he was harmless, a lonely guy in our small Ohio town until I found this proof he'd been inside my home. Something about him always felt off, though. The way he knew too much, like when I'd be working late. Who was Ryan, and what did he want with us? The diner was my lifeline, a greasy spoon where I waited tables to keep Chris fed. I was a single mom, just me and my boy scraping by. And Ryan was a constant, always there, always watching. He'd sit at the counter, sipping coffee, asking about Chris's school, my weekend plans. His questions too personal, but masked by that smile. I didn't think much of it at first. He was polite, charming even. But then I noticed things. My schedule, my habits, he knew them all. He'd comment on my late shifts before I mentioned them, or know Chris's soccer games without me saying a word. My stomach knotted, but I brushed it off. Small towns breed familiarity, right? That drawing changed everything. It was Chris's, from a sketchbook he kept in his room, now defiled by Ryan's name. I started feeling watched, like he was always there, even when I couldn't see him. I checked the trailer's locks. Intact, no signs of a break-in. The air felt heavy, tainted by his presence. I hid the drawing, my hands trembling, and called Chris's school, ensuring he was safe. Ryan's smile haunted me, no longer warm but predatory. A mask hiding something darker. This wasn't just a friendly regular. This was a threat, and I'd let him get too close. The trailer felt like a cage, every creak a reminder of Ryan's intrusion. I hid the drawing in a locked box, but its image burned in my mind. Chris's face, Ryan's signature, a violation I couldn't erase. Ryan started showing up more, always at the diner, always knowing when I'd be there. He'd sit in his usual spot, eyes tracking me, his smile sharper now, like he knew I was onto him. He'd ask about Chris, about our life, things he shouldn't. No, like what time I put my kid to bed. How did he know Chris's bedtime was 8 p.m., or that I'd been late picking him up from practice? My skin crawled, his questions no longer friendly but probing, a predator mapping his prey. I noticed other things. My lawn, mowed when I hadn't touched it. My mailbox opened, letters rearranged. The grass was cut perfectly, edges crisp. But I hadn't hired anyone. I checked my security camera, blank, its memory wiped. It was him, I knew it, Ryan, getting closer, invading my life. I started locking windows, double-checking doors, but the feeling of being watched grew. A constant weight. At the diner, a coworker mentioned Ryan asking about my shifts, his tone urgent, desperate. I felt like he was everywhere. In my home, my work, my head. I called Lila, a woman who'd left her number, claiming to be Ryan's girlfriend. Her voice shook as she confirmed my fears. Ryan had been obsessed with me for months, talking about me like we were together. Lila's words were a gut punch. She'd found photos of me in Ryan's apartment, candid shots, me at the diner, Chris at the park. My blood ran cold. How long had he been watching? I found a note in my car, scribbled in Ryan's hand. "You're mine, Emily." My hands trembled as I burned it, the trailer's walls closing in. Ryan wasn't just a creep. He was a shadow, creeping into every corner of my life. And I didn't know how to stop him. The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed, but Ryan's presence drowned them out. He sat at the counter, his smile ablaze, eyes locked on me as I poured coffee. He was there every shift now, his eyes following me, his smile not friendly anymore, but something else, something possessive. I avoided him, my hands shaking, but he leaned closer, whispering, "I know when you're alone, Emily. I know when Chris is asleep." My heart stopped. How did he know our nights? He'd created this whole fantasy, like we were a family, like he belonged in our lives. He left. A gift on the counter, a toy car identical to Chris's favorite with a note, "For my boy." I dropped it, my blood ice, the diner spinning. I was terrified. He wasn't just watching, he was claiming us, me and Chris, like we were his. That night, I found my front door ajar, the lock untouched. Inside, a photo of me and Chris was pinned to the fridge, one I'd never seen, taken from our backyard. Ryan had been in my home, my safe place, and he wanted me to know it. I grabbed Chris, locking us in his room, my phone dialing 911. The operator's voice was calm, but I was screaming. Inside, Ryan's toy car glaring from the counter. Sirens wailed, but he was gone. The trailer silent except for a faint hum, like a heartbeat in the walls. The police found nothing. No prints, no trace. But I knew it was him. He was too smart, too careful, leaving just enough to scare me, to keep me his. They took the photo, the car, but couldn't arrest him without proof. I installed new locks, a better camera, but the hum persisted, growing louder at night. Then a package arrived. No sender, just a locket with a photo of me inside. My face scratched out. Ryan's handwriting read, "Always with you." I collapsed, sobbing, knowing he was out there, closer than ever. His fantasy swallowing us whole. I didn't sleep, my eyes glued to the new camera feed, waiting for Ryan's shadow. I went to the police, told them everything, Ryan's visits, the photos, the toy car, but they said there wasn't enough evidence, just my word against his. The officers' pity stung, but they sent a patrol to Ryan's address, finding nothing. He'd vanished, his apartment empty. I felt helpless, trapped, like he was still out there, still watching, waiting for his moment. Lila called again, frantic, saying Ryan had left her a note. Emily's mine now. She'd found my address in his things, scrawled obsessively. He'd planned this for months, maybe years, and I'd never seen it coming. I couldn't stay in that trailer. Not with him out there, not with Chris at risk. We moved to my sister's house 50 miles away, but the fear followed. I found a new job, avoiding diners, but the locket reappeared, tucked in Chris's backpack, its scratched photo gleaming. My sister's dog barked at night, staring at the yard where I saw scratches in the dirt, symbols like a code. I knew it was Ryan or something worse, something that used his name. I hired a private investigator who traced Ryan to a dead end. A fake ID, no past. Was he even real, or a ghost wearing a man's face? The investigator found a journal in Ryan's old apartment, pages filled with my name, Chris's, our routines, interspersed with drawings of eyes, watching. One entry chilled me. She'll see me soon in the dark. I burned it, but the symbols appeared again, carved into my sister's fence. Ryan wasn't just stalking. He was marking us, claiming us, and I didn't know how to break free. The police were useless, but I wasn't. I'd fight for Chris, for our lives, no matter what Ryan was. Years later, Ryan's shadow still lingers. I've moved again, changed jobs, changed everything, but I still feel him, like he's just outside my window. The locket is buried in a box, but its weight haunts me, a reminder of the man who claimed us. I've built a new life, remarried, but the dreams don't stop. Ryan's smile, his eyes watching from the dark. I don't know if he's out there, if he's real, or if he's something else, something that won't let go. Chris is grown, but he checks his locks, sees shadows that shouldn't be. I'm still scared, still looking over my shoulder, waiting for him to come back. He's still out there, I know it, and I don't know why he chose me, why he wanted us. Last month, a new note arrived, slipped under my door. No postmark, just my name in Ryan's hand with a single word: soon. The symbols appeared again, scratched into my car's hood, glowing faintly at night. My husband says it's nothing, but he doesn't know Ryan, doesn't feel the weight of his gaze. I'm trapped, even now, by a man who shouldn't exist, who shouldn't know me. I've hired another investigator, searched for answers, but Ryan's a void. No records, no trace, only his marks, his threats. Is he human or something darker wearing his smile? So tell me, if you found a stranger's gift, felt eyes in the dark, I need to know. Because Ryan's not gone. He's waiting, and I'm running out of time. A shield against the fear, but it wasn't enough. Ethan sensed my tension, his questions piercing. Why do you check the windows, Mom? I lied, saying it was nothing, but my heart ached, the truth too heavy for his small shoulders. Nathan wasn't just a regular anymore. He was a specter, haunting my every step, his delusion tightening like a noose around my life. I kept my keys ready, my eyes scanning, my world narrowing to protecting Ethan, to surviving a threat I couldn't fully see but felt in every bone. The diner became a trap, Nathan's absence only sharpening my fear. He wasn't at his booth, but his truck lingered across the street, a silent menace in the fading light. I kept Ethan close, his backpack heavy with school books, his eyes catching my tension. Is something wrong, Mom? He asked, his voice small, and I forced a smile, my heart breaking. The texts kept coming, blocked numbers, short messages. Miss you. See you soon. I stopped parking near the diner's entrance, my keys clutched like a weapon, my pulse racing with every step. Jenna stayed late, her presence a lifeline. But the fear followed me home, a shadow I couldn't outrun, a weight that grew heavier with each passing day. That night, October 5th, changed everything. Ethan was asleep on the couch, a movie flickering. On the TV, its glow casting soft shadows. I dozed, exhaustion pulling me under until a soft knock jolted me awake. A light tap at the door, then another, deliberate chilling. My heart stopped. I knew it was him. I crept to the kitchen, peering through the window, my breath shallow. No car but mine in the driveway, but the darkness hid too much. The knocks grew louder, angry, rattling the frame, and I grabbed Ethan, rushing him to his room. "Stay under the bed," I whispered, his eyes wide with fear, his small hands clutching my sleeve. I dialed 911, my voice shaking, screaming that someone was trying to break in. The operator promised help, but the banging intensified. Pictures trembling on the walls, the door's hinges groaning under the force. I grabbed a kitchen knife, my hands slick with sweat, positioning myself in the hall to guard Ethan's door. The knocks were violent now, the door buckling, and I thought it would splinter. A slip of paper slid under the frame, Nathan's handwriting clear. "You're mine." My blood ran cold, the knife trembling in my grip, my resolve hardening. Ethan whimpered, his fear a knife in my heart, pushing me to protect him at all costs. I shouted at the door, "I'm calling the cops," hoping to scare him off, my voice fierce despite the terror. The banging stopped, silence heavier than the noise, pressing down like a physical weight. I waited, breath held, the knife my only defense, Ethan's soft cries anchoring me to the moment. Police arrived 23 minutes later. Too late. Nathan was gone, the note my only proof. I clutched Ethan, his sobs shaking us both, the note burning in my pocket like a brand. The cops took my statement. Officer Daniel's face grim as he bagged the note, the texts, the photos Sophie sent. Without Nathan there, they could only file a report, their promises of patrols hollow. Daniels warned me to stay vigilant, his eyes heavy with the truth. Nathan was a ghost, slipping through cracks, untouchable. I checked the locks, the windows, my heart racing at every sound, every flicker of light outside. Nathan's delusion had a face now, a name, and it was closer than ever. A threat I couldn't escape, a nightmare I lived every day. The night left scars, Ethan's whimpers echoing in my dreams, his fear a mirror to my own. I stayed at my parents' house for days, too shaken to face the trailer, its walls tainted by Nathan's presence. The note, "You're mine," was locked in a drawer, its words a constant threat, a reminder of the danger I couldn't outrun. Mark upped security at the diner, cameras trained on the lot, but Nathan's truck still appeared, parked just out of reach, a silent taunt in the twilight. Jenna checked on me, her hugs tight, her eyes worried. But even she couldn't ease the dread that clung to me like damp cloth. Ethan clung to me, his questions sharper, cutting through my lies. "Is he gone, Mom?" I said yes, but my eyes scanned every shadow, every car, my heart heavy with the truth I couldn't share. I returned to work, the diner's bustle a fragile shield, its familiar hum no comfort. I lived in that trailer for another 4 months. Every creak a reminder of Nathan. Every night a battle to feel safe. Mark shared a chilling detail. Jenna had caught Nathan asking another waitress about my schedule, his tone insistent, unsettling, his eyes cold. The corporate ban was enforced, but it felt hollow, a paper wall against a storm. I dug into the diner's records, desperate for answers, my hands trembling as I accessed the system. A customer complaint against Nathan, filed weeks before, had been deleted, no trace left, no explanation given. My heart sank. Someone had covered for him. Was it Mark? Protecting the diner's reputation, or someone else complicit in Nathan's game? The thought was a knife, twisting deeper, a betrayal I couldn't unsee. I met Officer Daniels, showing him the note, the texts, the photos Sophie sent. My voice steady despite the fear. He added them to my file, his face grim but without Nathan in custody. It was just paper, just promises. "He's careful," Daniels said, his voice heavy with warning. "Stay vigilant." I bought a security camera, its blinking light a small comfort, its feed my only peace. But the texts kept coming, new numbers each time. "You can't hide." I blocked them, my hands shaking, but the fear was a weight I couldn't shed, a chain binding me to Nathan's delusion. I moved 4 months later, leaving the trailer, hoping distance would break Nathan's hold. But the fear lingered, a shadow I couldn't escape, a question I couldn't answer. Was he still out there? The new house was a fresh start, locks triple-checked. Ethan's room, a sanctuary I guarded fiercely. But Nathan's shadow lingered, a ghost I couldn't banish. I couldn't shake the fear that he was still out there, watching, waiting. The note, "You're mine," was my proof, my resolve, locked in a safe with the texts and Sophie's photos. The lab had changed me, left me questioning everyone, wondering if I'd ever feel safe again. I contacted Sophie again, desperate for answers, but her number was disconnected, her house sold, her absence a void that echoed my fears. Had Nathan silenced her too? I scoured X for traces of him, finding nothing but dead ends, his presence a whisper in the digital noise. He was a phantom, untouchable, slipping through every net I cast. A new text came last week, a number I didn't recognize. "You can't run forever." My blood froze, my hands shaking as I blocked it, my resolve hardening. I installed more. Cameras, their feeds, my only peace, but even they couldn't catch a ghost. Jenna stayed close, her support unwavering, her eyes seeing my strain. "You're stronger than this," she said. And I clung to that, to Ethan's smile, to the fight I'd won. Officer Daniels checked in. His patrols regular, but Nathan was a specter, untouchable, his delusion a blade hovering over my life. The deleted report haunted me. Someone at the diner knew more, maybe Mark, maybe another. I pushed HR for answers, their silence deafening, a wall I couldn't break. I survived those knocks that night, and it forged me. I wasn't the Claire who'd smiled at Nathan's charm, trusting, naive. I was a mother, a fighter, protecting my son from a world that hid monsters in plain sight. The fear lingered, a constant weight, but so did my resolve to uncover the truth. I kept the note, the texts, building a case, refusing to let Nathan win. Ethan's laughter was my anchor, his safety my mission. I'd face anything, any shadow, any threat for him. The diner was behind me, but the fight wasn't. I'd find Nathan, expose him, make him answer for the terror he'd sown. Have you ever felt eyes on you? A stranger too close, their intentions a mystery? Ever ignored a gut feeling only to regret it? Ever fought for someone you love against a threat you couldn't see? Share your stories below. I need to know I'm not alone, that others have faced this darkness and kept fighting. Because the real danger isn't the knock at the door. It's the silence that follows, the hands that pull the strings, waiting for you to break. Was it Mark, protecting the diner's reputation, or someone else complicit in Nathan's game? The thought was a knife, twisting deeper, a betrayal I couldn't unsee. I met Officer Daniels, showing him the note, the texts, the photos Sophie sent. My voice steady despite the fear. He added them to my file, his face grim but without Nathan in custody. It was just paper, just promises. "He's careful," Daniels said, his voice heavy with warning. "Stay vigilant." I bought a security camera, its blinking light a small comfort, its feed my only peace. But the texts kept coming, new numbers each time. You can't hide. I blocked them, my hands shaking, but the fear was a weight I couldn't shed, a chain binding me to Nathan's delusion. I moved 4 months later, leaving the trailer, hoping distance would break Nathan's hold. But the fear lingered, a shadow I couldn't escape, a question I couldn't answer. Was he still out there? The new house was a fresh start, locks triple-checked. Ethan's room, a sanctuary I guarded fiercely. But Nathan's shadow lingered, a ghost I couldn't banish. I couldn't shake the fear that he was still out there, watching, waiting. The note, "You're mine," was my proof, my resolve, locked in a safe with the texts and Sophie's photos. The lab had changed me, left me questioning everyone, wondering if I'd ever feel safe again. I contacted Sophie again, desperate for answers, but her number was disconnected, her house sold, her absence a void that echoed my fears. Had Nathan silenced her too? I scoured X for traces of him, finding nothing but dead ends, his presence a whisper in the digital noise. He was a phantom, untouchable, slipping through every net I cast. A new text came last week, a number I didn't recognize. "You can't run forever." My blood froze, my hands shaking as I blocked it, my resolve hardening. I installed more. Cameras, their feeds, my only peace. But even they couldn't catch a ghost. Jenna stayed close, her support unwavering, her eyes seeing my strain. "You're stronger than this," she said. And I clung to that, to Ethan's smile, to the fight I'd won. Officer Daniels checked in. His patrols regular, but Nathan was a specter, untouchable. His delusion a blade hovering over my life. The deleted report haunted me. Someone at the diner knew more, maybe Mark, maybe another. I pushed HR for answers, their silence deafening, a wall I couldn't break. I survived those knocks that night, and it forged me. I wasn't the Claire who'd smiled at Nathan's charm, trusting, naive. I was a mother, a fighter, protecting my son from a world that hid monsters in plain sight. The fear lingered, a constant weight, but so did my resolve to uncover the truth. I kept the note, the texts, building a case, refusing to let Nathan win. Ethan's laughter was my anchor, his safety my mission. I'd face anything, any shadow, any threat for him. The diner was behind me, but the fight wasn't. I'd find Nathan, expose him, make him answer for the terror he'd sown. Have you ever felt eyes on you? A stranger too close, their intentions a mystery? Ever ignored a gut feeling only to regret it? Ever fought for someone you love against a threat you couldn't see? Share your stories below. I need to know I'm not alone, that others have faced this darkness and kept fighting. Because the real danger isn't the knock at the door. It's the silence that follows, the hands that pull the strings, waiting for you to break. What if someone was slipping into your home, night after night, not to steal, but to rearrange your life, to watch you, to care for you in the most twisted way? That's what happened to me. And the moment I realized it, my world turned upside down. I started noticing things in my house being moved just slightly. This is my story, and it's going to make you question every creak in your home. It was the summer of 2018, and I was living alone in a small house on the outskirts of a quiet town in Virginia. The house was a fixer-upper with peeling paint and a wraparound porch, but it was mine. A haven after years in crowded cities. The town was sleepy, with wide lawns and neighbors who waved but kept their distance. I felt safe here, cocooned in routine. Work at a local library, evenings with a book, and the comfort of my own space. I was meticulous about security, a habit from city life. I'm paranoid now, checking every lock, every night. But back then, I locked the doors and windows each evening. The deadbolts click, a nightly ritual. The house had its quirks, creaky stairs, a drafty back door, but nothing alarming. My neighbors, like old Mrs. Hawthorne down the street, were friendly enough, though I mostly kept to myself. The street was peaceful, lined with oak trees, the kind of place where nothing ever happened. But that peace was a lie. I kept feeling like someone was watching me, even when I was alone. It started small, subtle enough to dismiss, but over weeks, it grew into something I couldn't ignore. My home, my sanctuary, was being invaded, not by a thief, but by someone with a far more disturbing purpose. What I uncovered about those quiet intrusions would shatter my sense of safety forever, and I'm about to take you into the heart of that nightmare. It started with little things, so subtle I thought I was. Imagining them, I started noticing things in my house being moved, just slightly. A book I'd left on the coffee table would be on the shelf, neatly aligned. A dish in the sink, one I hadn't used, sitting clean and dry. Sometimes a window would be cracked, open when I swore I'd locked it. I'd check the locks, find them secure, but the window's latch would be undone, just enough to let in a breeze. I told myself it was forgetfulness, the house's quirks, but deep down, I knew better. I kept feeling like someone was watching me, even when I was alone. The feeling grew heavier, a nagging unease that followed me through the house. I'd wake to find my blanket folded at the foot of the bed, not how I'd left it. A glass of water appeared on my nightstand one morning, condensation still fresh, as if placed there while I slept. My heart sank each time, my mind racing to explain it. Had I done these things absent-mindedly? But I wasn't that careless. I kept feeling like someone was watching me, even when I was alone. I'd check the rooms, the closets, under the bed, finding nothing but silence, yet the air felt wrong, like someone had just left. I started keeping a journal, noting every oddity. The back door's knob felt loose one night, though it was locked. A pair of shoes I'd left by the door were moved to the hallway, neatly paired. The unease turned to dread, my nights sleepless, my eyes darting to every shadow. I confided in Mrs. Hawthorne, who suggested a raccoon or a draft, but her smile faltered when I mentioned the glass of water. "Get a camera," she said, her voice tight. I did, installing a cheap security system with motion sensors and a feed to my phone. The footage changed everything. My security camera caught him sneaking in, moving things, watching me sleep. His name was Nathan, someone I'd known vaguely in high school, a quiet guy I'd barely spoken to in years. I found out it was Nathan, someone I knew from high school, breaking in. He wasn't stealing, he was taking care of me, folding my blankets, leaving water on my table. The videos showed him slipping in through a loose window, moving with eerie precision, adjusting my pillows, standing over my bed as I slept, his face blank but focused. I found out it was Nathan, someone I knew from high school, breaking in. My stomach churned, bile rising as I watched him tidy my life. His actions not care but obsession, a sick parody of affection. I rewatched the footage, shaking, counting at least 6 intrusions over 2 weeks. He'd come at night when I was asleep, his movements silent, deliberate. One clip showed him pausing by my couch, touching a throw blanket, folding it with care. Another caught him placing a mug on the counter, the same one I'd found misplaced. He wasn't stealing, he was taking care of me, folding my blankets, leaving water on my table. The realization hit like a fist. Nathan wasn't a stranger. He was someone who'd been in my orbit unnoticed, and now he was inside my home, my life, my nightmares. I checked every window, every lock, my hands trembling. The loose window in the laundry room, one I rarely used, had a latch. That didn't catch properly. I'd never noticed, but he had. I nailed it shut, my heart pounding, and called a locksmith, but the fear was relentless. I kept feeling like someone was watching me, even when I was alone. I slept with a knife under my pillow, my phone's camera feed on, watching for him. Every creak, every rustle was Nathan, back to care for me in his twisted way. The footage was a nightmare I couldn't unsee. I'm paranoid now, checking every lock every night. Every corner of my house felt tainted, every shadow a threat. I couldn't sleep, my eyes glued to the camera feed, waiting for Nathan to slip back in. I'll never feel completely safe in my own home again. The thought of him standing over me, watching, folding my blankets, left me sick, my skin crawling. With violation, I stopped eating, stopped leaving the house, my life shrinking to the walls that had betrayed me. I called the police the next morning, my voice shaking as I showed them the footage. I called the police and they arrested him, but it didn't erase the fear. 2 officers watched the clips, their faces grim as Nathan's figure moved through my home. They recognized him. A local with a clean record, no red flags, just a quiet guy who kept to himself. They found him at his apartment a few miles away with a key he'd copied from my spare, hidden in my mailbox. He didn't resist, just smiled, saying he was helping me, making sure I was okay. His words chilled me more than the videos. The police searched his place, finding photos of my house, my street, even me, taken from a distance. He'd been watching for months, maybe years, his obsession silent, until it wasn't. They charged him with breaking and entering, stalking, but the legal terms felt hollow. I called the police and they arrested him, but it didn't erase the fear. I pressed charges, got a restraining order, but his smile haunted me. That same blank focus from the footage. How long had he been planning this? How had I not seen him? I told Mrs. Hawthorne, hoping for comfort, but she was shaken too. "I saw him once walking by," she said, her voice low. "Thought he was just a neighbor." I asked around town, learning Nathan had been seen lingering near my street, unnoticed, unremarkable. A barista at my coffee shop remembered him, staring at me but thought nothing of it. The pieces were there, hidden in plain sight, and I'd missed them all. I'm paranoid now, checking every lock, every night. I upgraded my security, new locks, a better camera, motion lights, but it wasn't enough. I'd hear footsteps outside, see shadows move, always wondering if he'd found a way back. I checked online forums, reading about others stalked like this, their lives unraveling under unseen eyes. One story mentioned a similar case nearby, a man leaving gifts in a woman's home never caught. Was it Nathan, or were there more like him? The thought kept me up, my knife close, my fear closer. I moved furniture to block windows, slept in the living room, avoiding my bedroom, where he'd stood. I'll never feel completely safe in my own home again. My life was a fortress now, every lock a ritual, every night a battle. Nathan was gone, but his presence lingered, a ghost in every corner, reminding me how easily safety could be undone. Nathan's arrest didn't end the fear. It just gave it a name. I'll never feel completely safe in my own home again. I used to think my house was a refuge, a place where I could let the world fade away. But his intrusions, his twisted care, showed me how fragile that illusion was. I'm paranoid now, checking every lock, every night. The memory of him folding my blankets, standing over me, is a scar I carry. A reminder that safety can be stolen by someone you barely remember. I'm not the person I was. I don't trust locked doors or quiet nights. I check my cameras, my windows, my life, always waiting for the next intrusion. I moved to a new house, one with alarms and steel locks, but the fear followed. A shadow I can't shake. I kept feeling like someone was watching me, even when I was alone. Nathan's in jail, but his obsession lingers. A question I'll never answer. Why me? What did he see in me that made him cross that line? The lesson is harsh but vital. Vigilance is survival. That unease, that prickle when something felt off. It was my instinct warning me, and I ignored it too long. If I'd acted sooner, noticed the signs, maybe I'd sleep easier now. But I've learned to trust that feeling, to question every detail, to protect my space like it's under siege. I'm paranoid now, checking every lock every night. My home is a fortress, not a haven. And that's the price of surviving someone like Nathan. I still don't know how it started. How Nathan went from a high school acquaintance to this. Was he always watching, waiting for a moment to slip in? Are there others like him, hiding in plain sight? Their obsessions silent until they're not? The photos, the stories, the baristas, memory. They're pieces of a puzzle that terrifies me. I check the news, watch for reports of similar cases, fearing he wasn't alone. He's gone, but the fear of someone else, someone new, keeps me locked in, always looking back. So I'm asking you, have you ever felt your life invaded, not by force, but by someone's quiet, twisted presence? Found signs, a moved object, a strange feeling that someone was too close? Share your story. Because these violations aren't just fears. They're wake-up calls, reminders to guard your world in a place where trust can be a trap. And if you ever find your blanket folded, a glass you didn't touch, don't wait. Check every lock, every shadow, and don't rest until you're sure you're alone. The knocking comes like a heartbeat. Sharp and relentless, tearing through the silence. I freeze, my daughter Lily clutching my hand, her eyes wide with fear. There's someone at the door, but no one's there when I check. Then, the roar. Our pickup truck starts in the driveway, its engine screaming. But the keys are on the counter. The truck's running, but no one's in it. My name's Owen Mitchell, and this house is no longer safe. Lily's terrified, and so am I, the air heavy with something wrong. I look outside. Nothing, just darkness. The fear is crushing, a nightmare we can't escape. Who's knocking when no one's there? We've lived in this farmhouse for 3 years. A quiet retreat after the city chewed me up. Lily, 6, loves it. The fields, the stars. But tonight, the knocking started. Steady, urgent, with no one at the door. It's 11 p.m. The wind's still, the night too dark. Then the truck roared. To life, its headlights blazing, but no one was there. I grabbed Lily, her small body trembling, and checked the locks, my heart pounding. We're both scared, the house no longer ours. I peer through the window, the truck's engine growling, its lights cutting through the dark. I check again. No one. Nothing. But the knocking continues. I call the sheriff, but the line's static, a low hum beneath it, like a voice trying to break through. Lily whispers, "Daddy, it's watching us." Her words chill me. She feels it too, a presence heavy and cold. I search the yard, the house, finding no answers, just fear. The knocking stops, then starts again, faster, angrier. The truck's engine revs like it's alive. I pull Lily close, her teddy bear tight in her arms, and try to stay calm. The terror is real, and it's after us. I check the security camera, static, but for a moment, a shape blurred at the door. It's gone when I blink, but the hum grows, the air thicker. This night haunts me, a shadow I can't shake. Something's here and it knows we're alone. I need to protect Lily, but what's out there? And why is it here? I held Lily tight, her small frame shaking as the knocking grew louder, more insistent. The fear was a vice, gripping us both. I turned off the lights, hoping to hide. but the truck's engine roared, its headlights sweeping the walls. No one was at the door, no one in the truck, but the sounds were real. I checked the camera again. Static, then a flicker, a shadow. Tall and blurred, moving past the porch. Lily clung to me, her eyes wide, sensing the same terror. The hum was louder now, a voice beneath it, whispering words I couldn't catch. I called Ruth, our neighbor, a retired librarian who knew the area's history. Her voice was tense. That house has a past, Owen. Things happen there. She told me about a family, the Harpers, who lived here in the 70s. Their son vanished, last seen in the yard, and strange noises, knocks, engines followed. I checked the house, the yard, finding nothing, just dread. The Harpers left, but the house never sold right after. I searched the attic, Lily asleep in my room, her teddy bear a shield. I found a box, dusty and locked, with H scratched on it. Inside was a journal, a child's, with drawings of a shadow man and notes. It knocks. It starts the car. My stomach churned. Was this the Harper boy? The knocking was relentless. The truck's engine a growl and no one was there. I locked the box, my hands shaking. The hum now a chant calling Lily's name. The terror was ours, a presence targeting us. Ruth came over, her face pale. She recognized the journal. Her cousins, the Harper boy, who'd vanished after finding something in the basement. They sealed it, she said, but it's awake. The knocking stopped, but the truck revved, louder, angrier. I checked the porch. Nothing but footprints, fresh and deep, led to the basement door. I called the sheriff, but no one came. The line dead. The house wasn't ours anymore. It was theirs. And they wanted Lily. The footprints stopped at the basement door. The hum now a growl. I grabbed a flashlight, leaving Lily with Ruth, her eyes pleading. Don't go, Daddy. The knocking was back, louder, from nowhere and everywhere. The truck's engine screamed, its lights flashing through. The windows. No one was there, but the terror was real, choking us. I opened the basement door, the air cold, heavy. Lily's fear mirrored mine, a shared nightmare. The stairs creaked, the flashlight flickering, revealing symbols carved into the walls. Circles, lines, glowing faintly. At the bottom, a sealed door boarded up. The Harper boy's initials scratched into it. The truck roared outside, but no one was in it. I pried the boards loose, the hum a voice now. She's ours. My heart stopped. Lily. I pushed through, finding a room, walls black with soot. A circle of stones in the center. Inside was a locket, a photo of the Harper boy, and a note. It wants the child. The room shook, the symbols flaring red, and a figure appeared, not human. Its eyes voids, its form shifting. The fear was a blade cutting deep. It reached for me, its touch ice whispering Lily's name. I grabbed the locket, running, the figure following, its steps heavy, the knocking now inside the walls. Upstairs, Lily screamed, Ruth holding her. As the windows shattered, I checked, called for help, but no one came. The figure loomed, its eyes on Lily, and I knew it was here for her. Ruth shouted, "Burn it!" thrusting a lighter into my hand. I lit the note, the flames roaring, the stones dimming. The figure screamed, a sound that tore through me, and the knocking stopped. The presence lingered, a shadow in the dark. The locket pulsed, the figure's eyes fading, but not gone. The truck's engine died, the house still. But I felt it, watching, waiting. Lily clung to me, her sobs breaking my heart. The basement wasn't just a room, it was a prison. The flames died, the house silent, but the air was heavy, like it was holding its breath. The ritual had stopped the knocking, but it wasn't gone. Lily clung to me, her sobs softening, but her eyes were still wide, seeing what I felt, a presence lingering. The truck was quiet, but the fear was alive, a shadow over us. The locket lay in the ashes, its glow gone, but the note's words burned in my mind. It wants the child. Lily and I were marked, the terror our own. We needed to end it. For her, for us. Ruth stayed, her hands trembling, pulling out a journal. Her cousins, the Harper boys, found years after he vanished. It spoke of the keeper, a thing the Harpers woke bound to the house, feeding on innocence. They'd sealed it in the basement, but it waited, knocking, starting engines, luring children. The knocking, the truck, were its call, and no one answered. I remembered Lily's fear, her sense of it, and shivered. It wanted her. We returned to the basement, the symbols dim but warm. Ruth drew a salt circle, placing the locket in the center. "Name it," she said, "and bind it." I whispered, "Keeper," and burned the journal, the flames roaring, the symbols flaring. The air screamed, the figure's eyes glowing through the walls. I chanted Ruth's words, the salt glowing, the scream fading. The presence retreated, but I felt it, waiting. The house stilled, the hum gone, but the locket cracked, a whisper escaping. "I'll return." We moved out the next week, unable to stay. The new owners haven't reported anything, but I wonder if they hear it, feel it. The fear haunts us, a shadow of that night. I keep the Harper boys' photo locked away, a reminder of what we faced. The keeper is still there, waiting for another child, another name. Something was here, and it's not done. Lily sleeps with the light on now, and I check the locks, knowing it's not over. I don't trust the dark anymore. The knocking, the truck's roar, Lily's fear, they're scars we carry. That night is a ghost haunting us still. We're in a new house, but I'm not free. The keeper's shadow lingers, its call a whisper in my dreams. Lily draws pictures now of a shadow man, her eyes heavy with memories. The fear is ours, a weight we can't escape. Ruth calls, her voice tense, warning me to watch Lily. She burned the Harper boys' things, but I kept a page, hidden, its words a warning. It never leaves. I researched the keeper, but records are thin, buried in whispers. A local historian, Ruth's friend, found a tale, a ritual in the 1800s binding a spirit to the land, feeding on children's fear. The Harpers stirred it, and it's never left. I visited Ruth, her hands shaking. I heard it at my door. My blood ran cold. It's not just our house. It's everywhere. In the quiet. In the night. Last week I found a footprint outside. Our new home, deep, fresh like the ones before. The hum is back in the walls in my head. I lock the doors, keep Lily close, but it's there, in the silence, the dark. I'm still scared, knowing it's not over. The keeper isn't bound forever, it's waiting, patient, eternal. Every home holds shadows, every night hides something. You hear it in the quiet, feel it in the dark. I'm telling you this because you need to listen. Who's knocking at your door? What's starting your car when no one's there? I faced it, and it marked us. If you hear a knock with no source, don't answer, because some things want your children and they never stop knocking. A crumpled note sat on my desk in homeroom, its words scrawled in red ink. "I'm watching you, Sarah." My breath caught, my hands trembling as I scanned the classroom. Kids chatting, oblivious. I was 17, a senior at my high school, living with my brother Jake in a small town, our parents states away. No one could have left that note, no one but him, Ethan, the man who'd been too friendly, too close. He'd approached me at school, claiming to be Jake's old friend, knowing things about me he shouldn't, like my stomach issues. His smile was warm, disarming, but those words burned, proof he wasn't what he seemed. I trusted him at first, thought he was just being nice, but something was off. The way he looked at me, the way he knew too much. Who was Ethan, and why was he targeting me? The school was my safe place, or so I thought. A sprawling campus where I blended in. Just another teen. Jake and I lived alone, scraping by, and school was my escape. Classes, friends, normalcy. Ethan appeared a month ago, lingering near the parking lot, his truck old but clean. He said he was Jake's buddy from high school, and he seemed honest. Even knew about my meds, so I believed him. He'd chat about my classes, my track meets, his questions casual but sharp, like he was collecting pieces of me. I didn't see the danger, not then. Not until he started showing up everywhere. Outside my classes, at my locker. My gut twisted, but I ignored it. Small towns, right? People know people. That note changed everything. It wasn't a prank. It was a threat. Ethan's handwriting unmistakable from a thank you card he'd given me. I felt watched, like he was always there, even when I couldn't see him. I stuffed the note in my bag, my heart racing, and texted Chloe, my best friend, begging her to stay close. The classroom felt smaller, the air heavy. Ethan's presence a shadow I couldn't shake. He wasn't just a creep, he was a predator, and I'd let him into my world. The note was a splinter in my mind, its words looping as I moved through school. I kept Chloe close, her worried glances mirroring mine, but Ethan's shadow clung. To me, he was everywhere now, outside my classes, in the parking lot, always smiling, always watching. He'd lean against his truck, eyes tracking me, his smile no longer warm but sharp, like a blade testing my skin. He knew things, my schedule, my routes home, even what I wore that day. How did he know I'd worn my blue hoodie yesterday? Or that I'd skipped lunch to study? I started noticing things. My locker tampered with, my books rearranged, notes left inside with just my name. A new note appeared in my math book. You can't hide, Sarah. My stomach churned, his handwriting a violation. I was scared, but I didn't tell Jake. Didn't want him to think I was crazy or weak. Jake was busy, working nights, and I couldn't burden him. I checked my locker's lock, intact, yet Ethan had gotten inside. I felt like he was in my head, knowing my every move, my every fear. At track practice, I saw him by the bleachers, too far to hear but close enough to feel, his gaze await. Chloe noticed, her voice low. He's not normal, Sarah. I nodded, my throat tight. He wasn't just a creep, he was a hunter, and I was his prey. Then a photo slipped from my bag. A Polaroid of me running, taken from the woods near the track. Ethan's note on the back read, "Beautiful." My hands shook as I tore it up, but his presence grew, a hum in the air, like static before a storm. I found scratches on my locker, symbols I didn't recognize, etched deep. Ethan was closing in, his game escalating, and I didn't know how to stop him. I was trapped in my own school, and he was rewriting my world. The classroom was a trap, its fluorescent lights buzzing as I sat in English, Ethan's latest note burning in my pocket. It happened in the middle of class, right there in front of everyone, but no one saw it coming. The teacher stepped out, leaving us to read when Ethan appeared at the door, his smile twisted, eyes locked on me. He'd tricked me, said Jake needed me, said it was about my meds, and I followed him thinking he was safe. He led me to an empty art room, the door clicking shut, his demeanor shifting, predatory, unhinged. He grabbed me, his hands cold, and did things. Touched me, hurt me, like he wanted to break me. His fingers dug into my stomach, a sharp pain searing as he pressed, whispering, "You're mine now, Sarah." I screamed, fought, my body shaking, my mind blank with terror. The pain was blinding, his grip iron, but I kicked, clawed, breaking free as his laugh filled the room. Low and cruel, I ran, didn't stop, didn't look back, just ran until I was out, away, safe. But not really. I collapsed in the hall, sobbing, kids staring, oblivious to the monster I'd escaped. Ethan was gone, the art room empty when security checked. But his touch lingered, a bruise on my skin, my soul. He'd done it in my school, my sanctuary, and I'd never feel safe again. The hum was back, louder, vibrating in my bones, his presence a shadow I couldn't shake. He'd crossed a line, and I knew he'd come again. I didn't go back to class, couldn't face the stares, the whispers. I was a mess, terrified. Didn't tell Jake, didn't want him to take Ethan's side or think I'd asked for it. I hid in Chloe's car, shaking, the bruise on my stomach throbbing, Ethan's laugh echoing in my head. I ran to Chloe, told her everything, and she got me out, away from that school, away from him. We drove to her house, my hands clutching, the torn note, its red ink smeared from my tears. I was scared to tell anyone, scared they wouldn't believe me, scared he'd come back. Chloe's mom called the school, but Ethan had vanished. No record, no trace, like he'd never existed. I knew he was out there, waiting, planning, and I'd never be free. I didn't feel safe, not at school, not at home, not anywhere. Jake noticed my silence, asked what was wrong, but I lied, said I was sick. I found a new note in my backpack, slipped in during the chaos. "You can't run, Sarah." My heart stopped, Ethan's handwriting a knife in my gut. I burned it, but the hum grew louder, now a pulse in the walls of our house. At night, I saw shadows outside, too tall, too still, and found symbols scratched into my window frame, glowing faintly. Chloe's research uncovered rumors. Ethan, or someone like him, had targeted others, leaving notes, symbols, then disappearing. Was he a man or something darker wearing a human face? I didn't know, but I knew he wasn't done. Years later, I've left that town, but Ethan's shadow follows. I still feel him in the quiet. His laugh, his eyes, like he's just outside my door. The bruise faded, but the fear didn't, a scar on my soul. I've built a life, college, a job, but the dreams don't stop. Ethan's smile, his hands, the hum that never leaves. I never told Jake, never told anyone, but I'm still scared, still looking over my shoulder. Chloe's moved too, but she sees the signs. Scratches, notes, shadows that don't belong. I don't know if he's out there, if he's real, or if he's something else, something that won't let go. He's still there, I know it, and I don't know why he chose me. Last month a new note arrived, slipped into my purse. No sender, just my name in Ethan's red ink, with a symbol like the ones on my window. My apartment's locks are new, but the hum is back, louder, vibrating in the dark. My roommate says, it's nothing, but she doesn't know Ethan, doesn't feel his gaze. I'm trapped even now by a man who shouldn't exist, who shouldn't know me. I've searched for him, police records, old classmates, but Ethan's a ghost, no trace, only his marks. Is he human or something darker, stalking me through time? So tell me, if you've found a stranger's note, felt a shadow too close, I need to know. Because Ethan's not gone, he's waiting, and I'm running out of time. I was 17, standing in a crowded mall when a stranger called my name, his voice slicing through the chatter. He knew me, my name, my family, even the stomach issues I hid from everyone. His smile was warm, but his eyes were cold, predatory, hiding a danger I couldn't yet see. I froze, my friend's laughter fading, my world narrowing to his words, his lies. One wrong choice, and I'd lose something I could never get back. I'm Hannah, and this is the true story of how a man's twisted intentions stole my innocence, and how I fought to take it back, Stay with me. This will make you question every stranger who knows too much. I was a junior at Westview High in a small Wisconsin town, living with my older brother Matt, while our parents worked across state lines. Westview was a typical high. School, lockers slamming, hallways buzzing, the air thick with teenage dreams and drama. At 17, I was still finding my place, balancing school with the independence Matt's long hours forced on me. My friends Rachel and Tina were my lifeline, their chatter filling our lunch breaks at the nearby mall. A freedom Westview granted us. The mall was alive with the scent of pretzels and the hum of shoppers. A place where we laughed over fries, carefree for an hour. That day, we wandered the food court, my backpack heavy with books, when he approached. Greg, mid-30s in a faded jacket, his smile too familiar, his voice too confident. He called my name. Hannah said he was Greg, a longtime friend of Matt's. Knew we went to the same high school. He mentioned my stomach issues, said Matt needed me at his office. His tone urgent but smooth, like he'd rehearsed it. My heart skipped, unease prickling my skin like static. How did he know so much? Rachel tugged my arm, her eyes narrow. Call Matt first. Tina stood silent, unsure, but I hesitated, caught between doubt and duty. Matt was strict, his temper short, and I didn't want to upset him if Greg was telling the truth. Greg's smile widened, his eyes locked on mine, pressing me to trust him. His confidence disarming yet chilling. The mall's noise faded, my world shrinking to his words, his certainty. I should have walked away, should have dialed Matt, but I was young, naive, afraid of making a scene, of being the girl who overreacted. My stomach churned, but I nodded, my throat tight, and followed him. Rachel's worried glance burning into my back as I left the safety of the crowd. Greg's voice was a hook, pulling me in despite the alarm bells ringing in my head. He stood, too close in the parking lot, his smile a mask, his words pressing me to follow. He said Matt needed me at his office, mentioned my stomach meds, his tone urgent, like he knew too much to be lying. Rachel's whisper echoed, "Call Matt." But I wavered, my phone heavy in my pocket, my fear of Matt's anger outweighing my doubt. Greg's eyes flicked to Rachel, then back to me, his smile tightening, urging me to trust him, his presence overwhelming. I was 17, caught between fear and the need to please, my instincts dulled by youth. I nodded, my voice gone, and followed him to his truck. Tina's silence and Rachel's frown fading behind me, the mall's lights dimming as I stepped into danger. His truck was old, the interior reeking of stale coffee and worn leather. The seats cracked and faded. I slid into the passenger seat, my backpack on my lap, a flimsy barrier between us. Greg started the engine, the rumble loud, jarring, his hands gripping the wheel too tightly, his knuckles white. He reached for my thigh, a quick grab, then pulled, back laughing it off as grabbing his chip bag by mistake. My stomach churned, my skin crawling, a wave of nausea rising as I gripped my bag, my instincts screaming to get out. I stayed silent, my eyes on the door handle, calculating my chances if I jumped at a light. The mall faded behind us, the streets, unfamiliar, Greg's chatter filling the silence, talk of Matt, high school days, stories that felt rehearsed, too polished, too perfect. I nodded, my voice trapped, my heart racing as the city gave way to quieter roads, the kind that led nowhere good. The truck slowed near a trailer park, the houses squat and worn, their windows dark, the kind of place you pass without a second glance. Greg's tone shifted, casual but edged. Just need to grab something, come inside, it's chilly out here. I shook my head, my voice small. I'll wait. His smile faltered, his eyes narrowing. A flash of something dark, anger maybe, crossing his face. he insisted, his voice sharper, almost a command. And my heart raced, my hands trembling as I clutched my backpack. I wanted to run, to call Matt. But I was alone, miles from help, trapped by my own hesitation. Greg got out, motioning for me to follow, his steps slow, deliberate, like a predator circling its prey. The trailer park was eerily quiet, the air heavy with the threat of what lay ahead, the weight of my choice pressing down like a storm about to break. Greg's insistence was a blade, cutting through my resolve, his voice low and commanding as he opened the trailer door. "Come on, it's quick," he said, his eyes locking onto mine, a predator's gaze cloaked in charm. My legs moved against my will, fear overriding logic, pulling me toward the dim, cluttered space inside. Empty beer cans scattered, a sagging couch, the air thick with mildew and menace. I froze, my backpack clutched like a shield, my breath shallow, my instincts screaming to flee. Greg was behind me, blocking the exit, his presence a wall I couldn't pass. His smile twisted, no longer hiding the danger beneath. He gestured to the couch, his voice softer now, coaxing, but it only sharpened my panic, my heart pounding like a trapped bird. He stepped closer, too close, his hand brushing my arm, sending a jolt of fear through me. He grabbed my jacket, yanking it up with my shirt, pinning my arms, exposing my stomach. My world tilted, panic surging as I struggled, my voice caught in my throat, my body no longer my own. He pressed his finger into my navel, pushing harder, a sick grin spreading across his face, the pain sharp, violating. I felt my innocence slipping, my body no longer mine, my mind screaming to escape. I thrashed, tearing free, my shirt falling back, my hands shaking as I stumbled toward the door, my vision blurring with tears. Greg laughed, a cruel sound, but I ran, bursting outside, gasping, coughing, my heart a frantic drum as I sprinted down the street. I didn't look back, my lungs burning, my mind a blur of fear and survival, the trailer's shadow chasing me. I called Rachel from a corner store, my voice trembling, tears streaming as I begged her to pick me up, my words stumbling over the terror. She arrived in minutes, her face pale, her questions gentle but urgent. "What happened, Hannah?" I couldn't speak, couldn't say what Greg had done. The shame and fear too raw, too heavy, choking me. Rachel drove me home, her silence a comfort, her hand on mine a lifeline, but my mind replayed his touch, his laugh, the moment I lost something I couldn't name. Matt was at work, oblivious, his absence a void I couldn't fill. I never told. Him afraid he'd take Greg's side, afraid he wouldn't believe me. The fear of doubt heavier than the truth. The trailer park faded behind us, but Greg's shadow clung to me, a stain I couldn't wash away, a wound I couldn't yet name. I locked my door that night, my body shaking, my innocence fractured, the world no longer safe. Greg's actions were a theft, not of my body, but of my trust, my sense of self leaving me raw, exposed. I was 17, too young for this weight, but I'd survived, and that was a spark I held on to, a fire that refused to die, a promise to fight back, to reclaim what he'd tried to take. The night was long, but I wasn't alone. Rachel's call, Tina's texts, they were threads pulling me back, reminding me I could heal. The days after were a fog, my world dimmed by Greg's touch, his laugh echoing in my nightmares like a cruel refrain. The incident stole something from me, a piece of my youth I'd never get back, leaving me raw, exposed. I stayed home, avoiding school, my bedroom a fortress where I could hide from the shame, the fear that clung like damp cloth. Rachel checked on me, her texts gentle, persistent, but I couldn't face her, couldn't face anyone. The weight of Greg's actions too heavy. Tina sent memes trying to make me smile, but they fell flat. my laughter gone, replaced by a hollow ache. I lived with the fear he was still out there, watching, waiting to finish what he started. His shadow a constant companion, his touch a ghost on my skin. Matt came home late, his voice tired, oblivious to the storm inside me. And I stayed silent. The shame too raw, the fear of disbelief too real. I returned to school, the halls too loud, the faces too knowing, their whispers a blade against my skin. Tina hugged me, her questions soft but piercing, and I deflected, my smile forced, my heart racing. Mrs. Carter, my English teacher, noticed my silence, her eyes kind but searching, her concern a quiet anchor in the chaos. I confided in her, my voice breaking as I recounted the mall, the truck, the trailer, the note. Don't trust anyone, still in my pocket, a talisman against the fear. She urged me to report Greg, her hand on my shoulder a steadying force. And I nodded, my resolve flickering but growing. I met Officer Reed at the station, his notebook open, his questions careful, measured. I told him everything, my voice shaky but clear, the details spilling out, the way Greg knew my name, my meds, the way he'd grabbed me, his laugh as I ran. Reed promised to investigate, but his eyes were heavy like he'd seen too many stories, like mine. Too many girls who'd trusted the wrong smile. The report was filed, but Greg was gone, his trailer empty, his name a dead end in the system. I dug deeper, desperate for answers, my fear turning to a quiet fury, a need to understand. Why, at school, I overheard whispers. A student had accused Greg of harassment last year, a girl whose name I didn't know. Her complaint buried, no action taken. My heart sank, the betrayal cutting deep, a system that valued silence over safety, that let predators like Greg roam free. I confronted Mrs. Carter, my voice steady now, demanding answers. She hesitated, her voice low. The school wanted to protect its image, Hannah. I'm sorry. The truth was a punch, a wound that festered, a reminder that I wasn't the first, wouldn't be the last unless I fought. I checked Matt's old yearbooks, my hands trembling, finding no trace of Greg, his claim of friendship a lie, a lure to trap me, to exploit my trust. The truth was a weight, but also a fire, pushing me to keep going, to demand justice, to protect others from the shadows I'd faced. My nights were sleepless, Greg's face haunting me, his touch a ghost that wouldn't fade. I bought a small alarm for my window, its beep a frail shield, a step toward reclaiming my space. Rachel stayed close, her calls a lifeline, her laughter pulling me back from the edge. Tina brought snacks, her presence a reminder of the girl I'd been, the one who could still smile. But the fear was a constant companion, a whisper asking if Greg was still out there, watching, waiting for another chance. The school's silence, Matt's ignorance, my own guilt. It was a cage I couldn't fully escape, but I refused to break, refused to let Greg's actions define me. I wasn't the Hannah who'd trusted Greg's smile, who'd followed him into danger. I was stronger, forged in fear, shaped by survival. The fear lingered, a constant weight, but so did my resolve to uncover the truth. I spoke to a counselor, my voice shaky but growing, each word a brick in the wall I was building against the past. I joined a support group, hearing stories like mine, finding strength in shared scars, in voices that refused to stay silent. The fear was still there, a shadow at the edges. But so was my fight, my refusal to let Greg define me, to let his actions steal more than they already had. I was 17, but I was learning to stand, to speak, to protect the girl I'd been, and the woman I'd become. A text came last week, a number I didn't know. You're not safe. My heart stopped, but I didn't break. I reported it to Reed, my hands steady, my resolve a fire that wouldn't die. Have you ever trusted someone, only to see their mask slip, their intentions a blade in the dark? Ever felt a stranger's gaze shift, turning safety into danger? Ever fought to reclaim what was taken, to find your voice against the silence? Share your stories below. I need to know I'm not alone, that others have faced this darkness and found light, that we can stand together. Because the real danger isn't the moment of fear, it's the silence that follows, the systems that fail us, the shadows that wait for us to stay quiet. Your garden is your sanctuary, a patch of earth you know by heart. But what if you woke to find footprints, deep, deliberate, human, etched in the soil, with no explanation, no trace of who left them? That's what I found. And those tracks weren't just a mystery. They were a message I couldn't read. One morning I found footprints in my garden pressed deep into the soft dirt. This is my story, and it's going to make you rethink what's hiding in your own backyard. It was the spring of 2020, and I was living in a modest house in a suburban town in Pennsylvania, the kind of place where everyone mows their lawn and kids ride bikes until dusk. My house was a cozy rental with a small garden out back. Nothing fancy, just a few flower beds and a vegetable patch I tended to on weekends. It was my escape, a place to dig in the dirt and forget the world. I wasn't paranoid then, not like now. I'm always looking out my window, scared they'll come back. But back then I locked the doors at night and felt safe. The garden was fenced, accessible only through a gate I kept latched. My neighbors were friendly. Mr. Larson next door, always tinkering in his garage, and a young family across the street. The town was quiet, the kind of place where nothing strange happened, or so I thought. My name's Emily, and I'm not one for wild theories or jumping at shadows. I'm a teacher, grounded, practical, but that spring something changed. One morning I found footprints in my garden, pressed deep into the soft dirt, and what started as a puzzling discovery became a fear that clung to me, a riddle I couldn't solve. Stay with me, because this true story is about to take you into a mystery that still haunts my nights. That morning I stepped into the garden with my coffee, expecting the usual calm of my flower beds. Instead, I froze. One morning I found footprints in my garden pressed deep into the soft dirt. They were human, large, maybe a man's size 10, pressed into the soil near the fence. They didn't match my shoes or anyone in the house. I checked. My sneakers, my gardening boots. Nothing fit. The prints were fresh, the edges sharp as if made overnight. My heart quickened, a chill creeping up my spine. I followed the trail, my breath shallow. The prints started at the fence, looped through the vegetable patch, and stopped abruptly, like someone had vanished. No gate was open, no fence broken. I checked the latch, still secure, no scratches, no signs of climbing. I started feeling uneasy, like someone was sneaking into the yard at night. Who could have done this? The neighbor's kids? But these were adult-sized, deliberate, not the chaotic scuff of children. I called my parents, who lived a town over. My parents said it was just kids messing around in the neighborhood, their tone dismissive. Kids sneak through yards all the time, my dad said. Don't worry. But I did worry. The prints were too precise, too consistent, not playful. I asked Mr. Larson, who shrugged, saying he'd seen some teens loitering lately, but nothing near my yard. His wife, though, looked uneasy, mentioning odd noises at night, like footsteps on gravel. The next morning, they were back. The footprints kept showing up, same spot, same size, night after night, always near the fence, always deep always stopping in the same spot. I took photos, measured them, 11 inches long, wide tread, no brand I could identify. I walked the perimeter, finding no entry points, no trampled grass, no logical path. I started feeling uneasy, like someone was sneaking into the yard at night. My garden, my refuge, felt like someone else's territory, watched by eyes I couldn't see. I bought a cheap motion sensor camera, mounting it on the porch. I set up a cheap camera, but all it caught was a blurry shadow moving near the fence. The footage was grainy, showing a dark shape, human tall, crossing the garden, too fast to identify. No face, no details, just a shadow that made my stomach drop. I watched it over and over, my hands shaking, the figure's movement too deliberate, too quiet. I checked the prints again, finding them fresher, deeper, as if taunting me. Days later, I found it. A small crumpled paper near the fence, half buried in the dirt. One day I found a scrap of paper by the fence with scribbled writing on it. The words were messy, barely legible. Keep growing. My blood ran cold. Was it a note? A threat? I kept it, my hands trembling, and checked the camera. Nothing. Just static, as if the figure knew to avoid it. I set up a cheap camera, but all it caught was a blurry shadow moving near the fence. I called my parents again, but they stuck to their story. Kids, pranks, nothing serious. Mr. Larson offered to watch my yard, but his eyes said he didn't believe it was kids either. I stopped gardening, stopped sitting on the porch. My nights spent staring out the window, waiting for movement. The footprints kept showing up, same spot, same size, night after night. I sprinkled flour around the fence, hoping to catch clearer prints, but found only smudges, like someone had swept them away. The unease grew, a weight I couldn't shake, my home no longer mine. Whoever was out there, they were playing a game, and I was losing. The footprints stopped after the note, but the fear didn't. I never found out who left those prints, and it still haunts me. My garden, once my pride, became a place of dread. Every patch of dirt a potential clue, every shadow a threat. I'm always looking out my window, scared they'll come back. I couldn't sleep. My nights spent checking the camera, the locks, the fence, waiting for those prints to reappear. The note, "Keep growing," sat on my dresser, a taunting riddle I couldn't solve. I showed the note to my parents, hoping they'd take it seriously, but they doubled down. My parents said it was just kids messing around in the neighborhood, suggesting some teen's prank. I wanted to believe them, but the words, the prints, the shadow, they weren't childish. I asked Mr. Larson again, who admitted he'd found similar prints in his yard once, years ago, but never told anyone. Thought it was nothing, he said, his voice uneasy. His wife mentioned a neighbor who'd moved away after weird stuff. Their garden, but no details. I dug deeper, talking to other neighbors. The family across the street had seen kids running at night, but no one matching the print's size. A retired cop down the block listened to my story, his face grim. Could be a vagrant, he said, or someone watching the street. He suggested checking local forums, so I did, finding posts about strange tracks in nearby towns. Always at night, always unexplained, always stopping suddenly. One mentioned a note, similar to mine, left in a yard. My heart raced. Was the same person? I upgraded my camera, added floodlights, even sprinkled gravel to hear footsteps, but nothing new appeared. The absence of prints was worse, like the intruder was waiting, watching. I never found out who left those prints, and it still haunts me. I'd hear noises, twig snapping, gravel crunching, but find nothing. Once I swore I saw a shadow move beyond the fence, but the camera caught only static. I stopped inviting friends over, stopped gardening, my life shrinking to the house, to vigilance. I searched the garden daily, finding small things, a bent flower stem, a scuff in the dirt, that kept my fear alive. I checked the news, expecting a break-in, a prowler, but found nothing. The cop neighbor patrolled sometimes, but he saw no one. I even contacted a local historian who mentioned old stories of wanderers leaving marks in yards, but no proof. I'm always looking out my window, scared they'll come back. The mystery consumed me, turning every night into a question. Who was it, and why my garden? I moved the note to a drawer, unable to throw it away. Its words a constant echo. The garden grew wild, untended, a reminder of what I'd lost. I started feeling uneasy, like someone was sneaking into the yard at night. My home felt exposed, the fence no shield, the quiet of my town a lie. Whoever left those prints had taken my peace, and I feared they weren't gone, just waiting for the next move. Those footprints didn't just mark my garden, they marked me. I never found out who left those prints, and it still haunts me. I used to see my home as a sanctuary, a place where the world couldn't touch me. But those tracks, that note, showed me how easily safety can be pierced by a stranger's steps. I'm always looking out my window, scared they'll come back. The fear of that shadow, that scribbled message, lingers like a weight I can't shed, a mystery that owns my nights. I'm not the same, Emily. I don't trust locked gates or quiet streets. I check my cameras, my fence, my life, always waiting for those prints to return. I moved to a new house, one with higher walls, but the fear followed, a constant whisper in the dark. I started feeling uneasy, like someone was sneaking into the yard at night. Whoever left those tracks took my peace, and I'll never know why or if they're still out there watching. The lesson is stark. Listen to your instincts, even when the world dismisses them. That unease, that pull to check the garden, it was my gut screaming something was wrong and I should have acted sooner. My parents said it was just kids messing around in the neighborhood, but I knew better, and I've learned to trust that knowing, to question every oddity, to guard my space like it's under threat. Those prints taught me that safety is fragile, and vigilance is the only shield we have. I still don't know who they were. A prankster, a prowler, or something stranger, leaving notes like cryptic warnings. The shadow, the prints, the words keep growing. They're pieces of a puzzle I'll never solve, and that uncertainty is worse than any answer. I scan the news, watch for stories of tracks, of notes, fearing they're still out there, marking someone else's yard. I never found out who left those prints, and it still haunts me. They're a ghost, a question that keeps me looking, keeps me scared, wondering what they wanted from my garden. So I'm asking you, have you ever found a sign in your space that didn't belong? A mark, a trace, a feeling that someone was there? A mystery that left you shaken, questioning your safety? Share your story, because these moments aren't just fears. They're lessons, warnings to stay sharp in a world that hides its secrets. And if you ever find footprints in your garden, don't dismiss them. Check every corner, every shadow, and don't rest until you know what left them. The knocking comes like a heartbeat, sharp and relentless, tearing through the silence. I freeze, my daughter Lily clutching my hand, her eyes wide with fear. There's someone at the door, but no one's there when I check. Then, the roar. Our pickup truck starts in the driveway, its engine screaming, but the keys are on the counter. The truck's running, but no one's in it. My name's Owen Mitchell, and this house is no longer safe. Lily's terrified, and so am I, the air heavy with something wrong. I look outside. Nothing, just darkness. The fear is crushing, a nightmare we can't escape. Who's knocking when no one's there? We've lived in this farmhouse for 3 years. A quiet retreat after the city chewed me up. Lily 6 loves it. The fields, the stars. But tonight the knocking started, steady, urgent, with no one at the door. It's 11 p.m. The wind still, the night too dark. Then the truck roared. To life, its headlights blazing, but no one was there. I grabbed Lily, her small body trembling, and checked the locks, my heart pounding. We're both scared. The house no longer ours. I peer through the window, the truck's engine growling, its lights cutting through the dark. I check again. No, 1-0, but the knocking continues. I call the sheriff, but the line's static, a low hum beneath it, like a voice trying to break through. Lily whispers, "Daddy, it's watching us." Her words chill me. She feels it too, a presence heavy and cold. I search the yard, the house, finding no answers, just fear. The knocking stops, then starts again, faster, angrier. The truck's engine revs like it's alive. I pull Lily close, her teddy bear tight in her arms, and try to stay calm. The terror is real, and it's after us. I check the security camera, static, but for a moment, a shape, blurred, at the door. It's gone when I blink, but the hum grows, the air thicker. This night haunts me, a shadow I can't shake. Something's here, and it knows we're alone. I need to protect Lily, but what's out there? And why is it here? I held Lily tight, her small frame shaking as the knocking grew louder, more insistent. The fear was a vice, gripping us both. I turned off the lights, hoping to hide, but the truck's engine roared, its headlights sweeping the walls. No one was at the door, no one in the truck, but the sounds were real. I checked the camera again, static, then a flicker, a shadow, tall and blurred, moving past the porch. Lily clung to me, her eyes wide, sensing the same terror. The hum was louder now, a voice beneath it, whispering words I couldn't catch. I called Ruth, our neighbor, a retired librarian who knew the area's history. Her voice was tense. That house has a past, Owen. Things happen there. She told me about a family, the Harpers, who lived here in the 70s. Their son vanished, last seen in the yard, and strange noises, knocks, engines followed. I checked the house, the yard, finding nothing, just dread. The Harpers left, but the house never sold right after. I searched the attic, Lily asleep in my room, her teddy bear a shield. I found a box, dusty and locked, with H scratched on it. Inside was a journal, a child's, with drawings of a shadow man and notes. It knocks. It starts the car. My stomach churned. Was this the Harper boy? The knocking was relentless, the truck's engine a growl, and no one was there. I locked the box, my hands shaking. The hum now a chant calling Lily's name. The terror was ours, a presence targeting us. Ruth came over, her face pale. She recognized the journal. Her cousins, the Harper boy, who'd vanished after finding something in the basement. They sealed it, she said, but it's awake. The knocking stopped, but the truck revved, louder, angrier. I checked the porch. Nothing but footprints, fresh and deep, led to the basement door. I called the sheriff, but no one came. The line dead. The house wasn't ours anymore, it was theirs. And they wanted Lily. The footprints stopped at the basement door, the hum now a growl. I grabbed a flashlight, leaving Lily with Ruth, her eyes pleading. "Don't go, Daddy." The knocking was back, louder, from nowhere and everywhere. The truck's engine screamed, its lights flashing through. The windows. No one was there, but the terror was real, choking us. I opened the basement door, the air cold, heavy. Lily's fear mirrored mine, a shared nightmare. The stairs creaked, the flashlight flickering, revealing symbols carved into the walls, circles, lines, glowing faintly. At the bottom, a sealed door boarded up, the Harper boys' initials scratched into it. The truck roared outside, but no one was in it. I pried the boards loose, the hum a voice now. She's ours. My heart stopped. Lily. I pushed through, finding a room. Walls black with soot. A circle of stones in the center. Inside was a locket, a photo of the Harper boy, and a note. It wants the child. The room shook, the symbols flaring red, and a figure appeared. Not human. Its eyes voids, its form shifting. The fear was a blade cutting deep. It reached for me, its touch ice whispering Lily's name. I grabbed the locket, running, the figure following, its steps heavy, the knocking now inside the walls. Upstairs, Lily screamed, Ruth holding her, as the windows shattered. I checked, called for help, but no one came. The figure loomed, its eyes on Lily, and I knew it was here for her. Ruth shouted, "Burn it," thrusting a lighter into my hand. I lit the note, the flames roaring, the stones dimming. The figure screamed, a sound that tore through me, and the knocking stopped. The presence lingered, a shadow in the dark. The locket pulsed, the figure's eyes fading but not gone. The truck's engine died, the house still, but I felt it, watching, waiting. Lily clung to me, her sobs breaking my heart. The basement wasn't just a room, it was a prison. The flames died, the house silent, but the air was heavy, like it was holding its breath. The ritual had stopped the knocking, but it wasn't gone. Lily clung to me, her sobs softening, but her eyes were still wide, seeing what I felt. A presence lingering. The truck was quiet, but the fear was alive, a shadow over us. The locket lay in the ashes, its glow gone. But the note's words burned in my mind. It wants the child. Lily and I were marked, the terror our own. We needed to end it for her, for us. Ruth stayed, her hands trembling, pulling out a journal. Her cousins, the Harper boys, found years after he vanished. It spoke of the keeper, a thing the Harpers woke, bound to the house, feeding on innocence. They'd sealed it in the basement, but it waited, knocking, starting engines, luring children. The knocking, the truck, were its call, and no one answered. I remembered Lily's fear, her sense of it, and shivered. It wanted her. We returned to the basement, the symbols dim but warm. Ruth drew a salt circle, placing the locket in the center. "Name it," she said, "and bind it." I whispered, "Keeper," and burned the journal, the flames roaring, the symbols flaring. The air screamed, the figure's eyes glowing through the walls. I chanted Ruth's words, the salt glowing, the scream fading. The presence retreated, but I felt it, waiting. The house stilled, the hum gone, but the locket cracked, a whisper escaping. "I'll return." We moved out the next week, unable to stay. The new owners haven't reported anything, but I wonder if they hear it, feel it. The fear haunts us, a shadow of that night. I keep the Harper boys' photo locked away, a reminder of what we faced. The keeper is still there, waiting for another child, another name. Something was here, and it's not done. Lily sleeps with the light on now, and I check the locks, knowing it's not over. I don't trust the dark anymore. The knocking, the truck's roar, Lily's fear, they're scars we carry. That night is a ghost, haunting us still. We're in a new house, but I'm not free. The keeper's shadow lingers, its call a whisper in my dreams. Lily draws pictures now of a shadow man, her eyes heavy with memories. The fear is ours, a weight we can't escape. Ruth calls, her voice tense, warning me to watch Lily. She burned the Harper boys' things, but I kept a page, hidden, its words a warning. It never leaves. I researched the keeper, but records are thin, buried in whispers. A local historian, Ruth's friend, found a tale, a ritual in the 1800s binding a spirit to the land, feeding on children's fear. The Harpers stirred it and it's never left. I visited Ruth, her hands shaking. I heard it at my door. My blood ran cold. It's not just our house, it's everywhere. In the quiet, in the night. Last week I found a footprint outside. Our new home, deep, fresh like the ones before. The hum is back and the walls in my head. I lock the doors, keep Lily close, but it's there. In the silence, the dark. I'm still scared, knowing it's not over. The keeper isn't bound forever. It's waiting, patient, eternal. Every home holds shadows, every night hides something. You hear it in the quiet, feel it in the dark. I'm telling you this because you need to listen. Who's knocking at your door? What's starting your car when no one's there? I faced it, and it marked us. If you hear a knock with no source, don't answer. Because some things want your children and they never stop knocking. A faded party invitation lay in the dirt. Our names, Alex and Ben, scrawled in black ink promising a special feast we'd never forget. I was 11, standing on a quiet street in our small Indiana town, my heart pounding as I stared at the card, its edges worn but fresh. It was the summer of '87 and my little brother Ben and I were out playing, just kids messing around near the edge of town. No one knew us out here, so who left this and why? Two men pulled up in a beat-up van smiling, offering candy, saying they had a party just for kids like us. Their grins were too wide, their eyes too hungry, and that card felt like a trap. We didn't know them, didn't trust them, but they knew us, knew our names. What was this feast and why were they after us? Our town was sleepy, a place where kids roamed free, parents barely watching in the '80s. Ben, 9, and I spent days biking, exploring fields and alleys, our parents working late. We were out by the old mill throwing rocks when the van rolled up slow like it was hunting. The men, Victor and Carl, leaned out, their voices syrupy, promising games, food, a secret party in the woods. They had candy, toys, all the things kids love, and they said it was a secret just for us. I clutched the card, my gut screaming danger, but Ben's eyes lit up at the mention of candy. Something was wrong. Their smiles, their eyes, the way they kept looking at us like we were prizes. The van's door was open, its dark interior a void, and I knew, if we got in, we wouldn't come back. I shoved the card in my pocket, my hands trembling, and grabbed Ben's arm. The men's grins faltered, their eyes narrowing, but they kept talking, their words a lure. We didn't know how close we'd come to something terrible. Not then, but we felt it, felt the danger. The street was empty, no one to help, and the card burned against my skin, a warning I couldn't ignore. Victor's hand twitched, reaching for something in the van, and I knew we had to move, fast. The van's engine idled, a low growl that set my teeth on edge. Victor, the taller man, leaned out, his grin widening as he dangled a candy bar. They kept talking, their voices sweet, promising a party with cakes, games, all the things we'd love. Ben took a step forward, his eyes on the candy, but I yanked him back, the thief in my pocket heavy like a stone. We felt it, the wrongness, the way their eyes didn't match their smiles, the way they kept pushing. Carl, shorter, with a scar, on his cheek chuckled, his voice oily. "Come on, Alex, Ben, it's just a little fun," he said, their names rolling off his tongue like he'd practiced. They knew too much, our names where we played, like they'd been watching us for weeks. I didn't trust them. Didn't like how they looked at us, how they kept trying to get us closer to the van. The air was thick, the summer heat turning sour, a faint hum rising from the van's open door. I glanced inside. Blankets, ropes, a duffel bag. Nothing a party needed. Their words were a trap, their candy a lure, and we were so close to falling. For it, Victor's hand moved, pulling a toy car from his pocket, tossing it toward Ben. "For you," he said, but his eyes were on me, cold, calculating. Ben reached, but I slapped his hand down, my heart racing. "We don't want it," I said, my voice shaking. The men's grins faded, their faces hardening. Carl stepped out, his boots crunching gravel, closing the gap. "Don't be shy," he growled, his hand twitching toward us. We were kids, just kids, and they were predators, their party a lie, a danger we couldn't name. I pulled Ben behind me, backing away, the thief crumpling in my fist. The hum grew louder, a pulse in the air, and I saw it. A shadow moving in. The van, too big for a person, too wrong. Whatever they wanted, it wasn't a party. It was us, and we were running out of time to escape. Carl lunged, his hand grazing Ben's arm, his grin a snarl now. They grabbed at us, their hands fast, trying to pull us into the van, their party a lie we almost believed. I shoved Ben, screaming, "Ah, run!" as Victor blocked the path, his eyes wild, predatory. We were so close to being taken, to whatever they planned in that van. The van's door yawned open, its darkness swallowing the light. The hum, now a roar in my ears. Carl's grip was iron, his fingers digging into my shoulder, but I kicked, screamed, fought like my life depended on it. Ben slipped free, bolting for the trees, and I twisted, slamming my elbow into Carl's gut, his grunt giving me a second to break away. We ran, didn't stop, didn't look back, just ran until our lungs burned, until we were safe. The men shouted, their voices sharp, promising candy, games, but the lies were gone. Their intent raw, exposed. They were predators, their party a trap, and we'd almost fallen into it. We dove into the woods, branches slashing our faces, the van's engine roaring as it sped after us. I grabbed Ben, pulling him behind a tree, our breaths ragged, the thief falling to the ground, its ink smearing in the dirt. The van slowed, headlights cutting through the dusk, Victor's silhouette looming as he scanned the trees. "Alex! Ben!" he called, his voice sweet again. But it was a blade, cutting through, our fear. We stayed still, hearts pounding, until the van roared away, its taillights fading. We escaped somehow, by luck, by instinct, but we knew how close we'd come. The woods were silent, but the hum lingered, a pulse in the air, their presence a weight we couldn't shake. We stumbled home, the thief lost, but its words burned in my mind. Special feast. Whatever they'd planned, it wasn't a party. It was something darker, something we barely dodged, and I knew they'd try again. We collapsed in our backyard, gasping, the night swallowing our fear. We didn't tell Mom or Dad, didn't want them to ground us, didn't want to admit how close we'd come. Ben's face was pale, his hands shaking, and I hugged him, promising to keep him safe. We were kids, scared, and we kept it secret, but we felt them, those men, still out there, still watching. The hum faded, but the weight stayed, their voices echoing in my dreams. We never went back to that spot, never talked about it, but it changed us, marked us. Our bikes sat unused, the fields no longer ours. Every shadow a reminder of Victor and Carl. I knew they were still out there, still hunting, and we'd only escaped by luck. Days later, I found a candy wrapper in our mailbox, the same brand Victor offered, its edges torn, fresh. My stomach dropped. Had they followed us home? I burned it, but the hum returned, faint but growing, pulsing in the walls. At school, a teacher mentioned a van circling the playground. 2 men asking kids about a party. My blood ran cold. We'd escaped, but they hadn't stopped, hadn't forgotten us. I checked the news, finding stories of missing kids, vans like theirs, parties that ended in silence. Were Victor and Carl part of something bigger, a network, or something darker? wearing human faces. I didn't know, but I knew they were close, waiting for another chance. Decades later, I've left that town, but Victor and Carl's shadows linger. I still feel them, in the quiet, their voices, their eyes, like they're just around the corner. The candy wrapper is gone, but its memory haunts me, a relic of the day we almost vanished. I've built a life, a family, but the dreams don't stop. Victor's grin, Carl's hand, the van's dark maw. I never told anyone, not even Ben, but I'm still scared, still checking the locks. Ben's moved on, but he flinches at vans, sees faces in crowds that shouldn't be. I don't know if they're out there, if they're real, or if there's something else, something that won't let go. They're still there, I know it, and I don't know why they chose us. Last month, a new invitation arrived, slipped under my door. No postmark, just our names, Alex and Ben in black ink, promising a feast. My heart stopped, the hum roaring back, louder, vibrating in the dark. My wife says it's a prank, but she doesn't know Victor, doesn't feel their gaze. I'm trapped even now by men who shouldn't exist, who shouldn't know me. I've searched for them, old records, missing kids, but they're ghosts, no trace, only their marks. Are they human, or something darker, hunting through time? So tell me, if you found a stranger's invite, felt eyes in the dusk, I need to know. Because they're not gone, they're waiting, and I'm running out of time. I was painting a wall in our new house when I heard Ben's voice, clear, unmistakable, calling from the backyard. But Ben was 2,000 miles away, visiting his boyfriend. My brush froze, my heart racing as the air grew heavy. Then the front door slammed shut, a thunderous crash that shook the walls with no wind, no one near. The house was silent, but it was watching, its secrets whispering in the shadows. I'm Laura, and this is the true story of the eerie events in our Atlanta. Fixer-upper, events that made me question what lingers in the places we call home. Stay with me. This will make you listen closer to the creaks in your own house. Ben and I had just bought a crumbling two-story in Atlanta's suburbs, a steal at $150,000, but it came with a heavy past. The house was a mess, reeking of old cigarette smoke, walls stained yellow, floors scarred by a rat infestation that left droppings in every corner. The previous owner, a chain smoker, had abandoned it years ago, leaving behind piles of junk, broken furniture, moldy clothes, a life left to rot in the dust. It was a hoard site, every room a testament to neglect, but we saw potential, a future we could build. We were young, broke, and determined, trading our pricey city rental for a project we could make our own. Ben, my best friend since college, saw charm in the cracked plaster, his optimism infectious. I was the pragmatist, armed with paint cans and a tight budget, ready to scrub away the house's scars, to carve out a home in its bones. Our days were filled with sanding floors and patching walls, the house groaning under our efforts, its creaks, a constant companion, like it was protesting our intrusion. The neighborhood was quiet, mostly older folks, with Mrs. Ellis, our next-door neighbor, offering cookies and stories of the house's former owner, a reclusive man, always smoking, always alone. The house's history clung to it. The smoke and rats a legacy we were determined to erase. At night, the house felt different, its shadows deeper, its silence heavier, like it was holding its breath. I'd catch whiffs of cigarette smoke, faint but sharp. Though we'd aired the place out for weeks, the windows opened to Atlanta's humid breeze. Ben laughed it off, blaming my imagination, his voice light over the phone from New Orleans. But I wasn't so sure, the smell too real, too present, like the house was reminding me of its past, whispering secrets I wasn't ready to hear. The Houses' creaks grew louder at night, a chorus that kept me on edge, a rhythm that felt alive. I painted alone in the sunroom while Ben was away, the radio blasting to drown out the silence, but it couldn't mask the unease creeping into my bones. That night, I heard Ben's voice, clear as day, calling from the backyard, though he was halfway across the country. I didn't feel scared, no bad vibes, just a strange curiosity, like the house was trying to tell me something. I stepped outside, flashlight in hand, the air cool and still, the backyard empty. No Ben, no one, just the overgrown grass and sagging fence under the moon's pale light. My pulse quickened, my breath shallow, as I scanned the darkness, the house looming behind me, its windows dark, watching, waiting. I called out, "Ben?" My voice trembling, swallowed by the night, the silence heavier than before. Back inside, I locked the patio door, my hands trembling, the radio now static, like it was listening too. A faint whiff of cigarette smoke hit me, sharp and sudden, though I hadn't smoked, and the house had been aired out for weeks. I checked the vents, the windows, nothing, no source, no explanation. The smell faded, but unease lingered, a seed planted in my mind, growing roots. The next day, I found a coffee mug on the counter, one I'd packed away in a box, its handle chipped, sitting out like someone had used it. I froze, my heart racing, my mind scrambling for answers. Had I misplaced it? Or was the house playing tricks? Ben's voice echoed in my memory, so real, so impossible. And I wondered if I was losing it, or if something else was here, stirring in the shadows. Mrs. Ellis stopped by, her eyes sharp as she sipped tea in our half-finished kitchen, the walls still patched with spackle. "That old smoker," she said, her voice low. "He loved this place, spent every night in the sunroom puffing away till his last breath." Her words stirred my unease. The sunroom where I'd been painting, where Ben's voice had called me, where the smoke smell lingered. I asked if she'd ever heard strange things, my tone casual, masking the chill in my spine. She paused, her gaze distant, her fingers tightening on her cup. "Houses hold memories," she said. "Sometimes, more than memories." I laughed it off, but her words stuck. A puzzle piece I couldn't place, a warning I couldn't ignore. That night, the smoke smell returned, stronger, curling through the air like a presence, and I found a light bulb unscrewed in the hallway, flickering when I tightened it. Its glow, steady, like the house itself was breathing. I checked my phone, confirming Ben was still away. His voice a mystery I couldn't solve, but I wasn't afraid, just curious, drawn to the house's secrets. I texted Ben, half joking about ghosts, my fingers hesitating over the keys, and he laughed, suggesting old pipes or my tired brain, his voice crackling over the line from New Orleans. But the mug, the smoke, the voice, they weren't pipes, weren't imagination, weren't tricks of a tired mind. Something was here, stirring, and it wanted my attention, pulling me deeper into its story, its history, its truth. I stood in the sunroom, the radio silent now, the house's creaks a quiet song, and I listened, my heart open, my mind racing, wondering what the house would say next, what it needed me to know. The house's whispers grew bolder, its secrets pressing closer, a presence I couldn't ignore. I painted the sunroom, the radio softer now, my ears tuned to every creak, every shift, my senses sharp. The smoke smell returned, thick, choking, like someone was standing beside me, exhaling a cloud of stale tobacco. I spun, heart pounding, paint dripping from my brush, but the room was empty. The paint can still, the air heavy with something I couldn't name, something alive. A floorboard groaned upstairs, a sound too deliberate, too human, and I froze, My breath caught, my flashlight shaking in my hand. Was it the house settling or something more? Something watching? I called out, "Ben?" knowing he wasn't there. My voice swallowed by the silence, the darkness pressing in. I climbed the stairs, flashlight trembling, my steps slow, deliberate. The attic door ajar, though I'd locked it days ago, its hinges rusted, protesting. Inside, among dusty boxes and cobwebs, I found a metal cigarette case engraved with J.H., the initials of the previous owner, John Harrow, Mrs. Ellis had said, the man who'd lived and died here. My fingers trembled as I opened it, finding single cigarette, its paper yellowed, the smell sharp, familiar, matching the cloud that haunted the sunroom. The air grew colder, the smoke smell overwhelming, curling around me like a presence, alive, watching. Its weight a question I couldn't answer. I stuffed the case in my pocket, my heart racing. The attic's shadows deeper, closing in like a trap. The house's secrets heavier now, tangible. Back downstairs, I locked the patio door. The house too quiet, too still, its silence a lie. Then, it happened. The front door slammed shut with a deafening bang, shaking the walls, though no windows were open, no wind stirring. I didn't feel scared, just a strange curiosity, like the house was speaking, demanding I listen. I checked the door, its lock intact, the air still. No explanation for the force that had moved it, no draft, no cause. The cigarette case felt heavy in my pocket, its metal warm, unnatural, like it held a pulse, a piece of John Harrow's life. I called Tom, our contractor, asking if he'd been by, but he was across town, his voice puzzled, his crew nowhere. Near, the house was playing games and I was caught in its rules, drawn to its mystery, its voice growing louder, pulling me closer. The smoke smell surged, filling the sunroom, and I heard it again. A faint whisper, not Ben's voice this time, but a man's low, unintelligible, coming from nowhere, everywhere. My skin prickled, my flashlight flickering as I stood, rooted, the case burning in my hand. I wasn't afraid, but the curiosity was a pull, a need to understand what the house wanted. Was John Harrow still here, his presence tied to the case? The smoke, the door, his life etched into the walls? I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd found something important, something the house needed me to see, to understand, to acknowledge. The whisper faded, but the house's pulse remained, its story unfolding, and I was part of it now. A listener, a witness to its secrets. The door's slam echoed in my bones, the cigarette case a weight in my pocket, its warmth a reminder of the house's voice. I wasn't scared, just curious, drawn to the house's secrets, its story unfolding around me. I sat in the sunroom, the case on the table, its engraved initials, J.H., gleaming under the light, a relic of John Harrow's life. The smoke smell lingered, faint but persistent, like a memory refusing to fade, a thread connecting me to the man who'd lived here. I called Ben, my voice steady, telling him about his voice, the door, the case, the whisper that wasn't his. We talked, curious, not alarmed, wondering what the house was trying to say. He laughed, suggesting old wiring or drafts, but his tone was uneasy. His absence making the house feel bigger, emptier, its shadows stretching longer across the floor. Mrs. Ellis came over, her eyes narrowing at the case, her fingers tracing its edges. "That's John's," she said, her voice low, heavy with memory. "He died here, you know. Heart attack. Alone in that sunroom, cigarette in hand. The smoke curling around him." My heart skipped. The pieces clicking, the smoke, the voice, the door, all tied to John Harrow, the man who'd loved this house, who'd never left it. I dug through county records, my hands trembling, finding John's obituary. Died 2018, reclusive, no family. His life a solitary thread woven into these walls. A photo showed a gaunt man, cigarette dangling, his eyes distant, hauntingly familiar, like I'd seen him in the shadows, felt him in the smoke. The house creaked, a low groan, and I shivered. The case warm again, like it held a pulse, a life that hadn't ended. That night, a book fell from a shelf, its pages open to a photo of the house from the 1970s. John standing out front, smoking. His face tired but content. My breath caught. The book had been packed away, untouched, its fall a message, a sign. The smoke smell surged and a light flickered. The bulb I'd tightened now loose again. Its glow unsteady, like the house was breathing, speaking. I called Officer Patel, asking if he'd heard of strange events here. My voice calm but curious. He was skeptical but noted complaints about noises from John's time. Dismissed as rats, as nothing. Rats didn't move books, didn't slam doors, didn't whisper in the dark. I wasn't scared, but the house was speaking and I was listening, drawn deeper into its mystery, its history unfolding like a story I was meant to hear. Ben returned, his skepticism fading as I showed him the case, the photo, the records, the book that fell on its own. We sat in the sunroom, the air heavy, the house watching, its presence a quiet companion. We didn't feel danger, just a pull to understand, to hear the house's story. But the events were escalating, the house's voice growing louder, more insistent. And I wondered if we'd stirred something by staying, by finding John's case, by listening too closely to its whispers. The house was no longer just a fixer-upper. It was a puzzle, its pieces scattered in smoke and whispers, a story we were living. We were curious, not afraid, drawn to the mystery of what lingered here, unable to explain the door's slam or Ben's voice. I kept the cigarette case on my desk, its initials JH, a reminder of John Harrow, the man who'd lived and died here, his presence woven into the walls, his life a thread we'd uncovered. Ben and I debated moving it, storing it away, but it felt wrong. Like we'd be silencing the house's voice, cutting off its story. We stayed, painting, repairing, living alongside the mystery. Its weight a strange comfort, a connection to something bigger, something we were part of now. Mrs. Ellis brought old photos, one showing John in the sunroom, cigarette glowing, his face tired but content, his eyes fixed on something beyond the frame. He loved this house, she said, her voice soft, heavy with memory. Maybe he never left. Her words stirred. Something in me, not fear but wonder, a sense that we were guests in John's home, sharing his space, his story. The smoke smell came and went, always in the sunroom, always faint like a greeting, a nod from a man who'd never said goodbye. A drawer opened on its own last week, a single cigarette rolling out, pristine, untouched, its paper gleaming in the dim light. My heart skipped, but I smiled, placing it back, the house's whisper, a quiet companion, a voice I was learning to hear. Last night, as I locked up, a low murmur echoed from the sunroom. Not Ben's voice, not John's, but a wordless hum. Warm, almost kind, like a memory speaking. The house was speaking, and we listened, curious, not scared, wondering what it wanted us to know. I called Officer Patel, asking if he'd investigate further, my voice steady, but he found no records, no answers, just an old house with a story to tell, a history etched in its walls. Ben and I decided to stay, to learn, to live with the mystery. Its presence a thread connecting us to something bigger, something we couldn't yet name, something that felt like home. I'm not the Laura who moved in, skeptical, focused on paint and plaster, eager to erase the house's past. The house taught me to listen, to wonder, to embrace the unknown without fear, to hear the stories that linger in the places we live. The curiosity lingers, a constant pull, a question we may never answer. We're not alone. Mrs. Ellis hears it too. Her eyes bright with tales of her own, the neighbors whispering of their strange nights, their own brushes with the unknown. Have you ever felt a house breathe? Heard a voice that shouldn't be there? Felt its walls pulse with memory? Ever found a relic that held more than history, that spoke to you in whispers? Share your stories below. I need to know I'm not alone, that others have felt this pull, this wonder, this connection to the past. Because the real mystery isn't the door that slams, it's the story it tells, the hands that linger, waiting for us to listen, to hear, to understand. Two children stand in the road, their ragged clothes flapping in the windless night, their eyes empty like voids in the dark. They're just there, staring, silent, on a lonely road. My headlights catch them, and my blood runs cold. They don't move, don't speak, just watch with hollow eyes. My name's Julian Baxter, and I'm driving home through nowhere. No houses, no people, just them, and I don't know where they came from. They vanish into the fog, leaving only fear. The memory haunts me, a chill I can't shake. Who's waiting for you on the road you're driving? This stretch of Route 17 is a ghost, winding through fields and forgotten towns in rural Kentucky. I've driven it for years, the silence my only company. Tonight, two kids appeared, ragged, wrong, their gaze cutting through me. They stood in the middle, unmoving, their clothes torn, faces pale. I slowed, heart pounding, ready to help, but something stopped me, their eyes too old, too empty. No one lives out here, no homes for miles. I blinked and they were gone, the fog swallowing them. The fear is real, a shadow of that night. The road felt alive, watching, and I drove on, my hands shaking, knowing they weren't human. I couldn't shake those eyes, hollow and ancient, staring through me. The fear from that night clung to me, a shadow I couldn't escape. I avoided Route 17, taking longer roads, but the memory followed, a chill in my bones. Those kids weren't right, their silence a scream. My radio crackled now, spitting static. Sometimes a whisper, my name faint but clear. No one was there, but they were, watching, waiting. The fog seemed thicker, the night heavier, like the road remembered me. I went to Amos, a gas station clerk who'd lived here forever, his face lined with stories. Route 17's cursed, he said, eyes narrowing. Kids have been seen since the 50s, always two, always gone. No one knows where they come from, no homes, no trace. He showed me a photo faded from 1962. Two children ragged standing on that road, their eyes empty. My stomach churned. They were mine, unchanged. I dug into the town's archives, finding reports. Drivers seeing kids, then nothing. Some vanishing themselves. A 1950s cult, the Nightkin, held rituals on Route 17, offering children to something they called the Hollow. They disappeared, but the kids kept appearing. They vanished, leaving only dread, a mystery unsolved. I drove back, heart pounding, the fog curling like fingers. The radio hissed, Julian. Their eyes, their silence haunted me. The road was alive and it wanted me to stop. The radio screamed my name, the fog swallowing the road. They stood there again, two kids, eyes empty, silent. I slammed the brakes, heart pounding, the car shaking. They didn't speak, just stared, their gaze a void. The air grew cold, the hum a chant, ancient and wrong. No homes, no trace, just them, and they weren't human. I gripped the wheel, their figures flickering, not solid. like shadows cast by something else. They vanished, leaving only terror, a weight on my soul. The fog parted, revealing a clearing off the road, stones in a circle, symbols carved deep. Nightkin's work. The hum was louder, a voice now. "Join us!" My flashlight caught a figure, not the kids, but something older. Its eyes endless, its form twisting. The fear was a blade, cutting deep. It reached, its touch burning cold, whispering names, not mine but others, lost. I ran, the car a lifeline, the figure following, its steps silent but heavy. I found a journal half buried in the dirt, its pages brittle, from 1953. Occultists warning of the hollow, a force they woke, binding children's souls to the road. They never leave, it read. My heart stopped, the kids were its eyes. The figure loomed, the hum a scream, the symbols glowing red. I drove, the road stretching, the kids' faces in the fog, their eyes pleading, trapped. The car shook, the radio roaring. "Stay, Julian!" I floored it, the clearing fading, but the hum followed, in my head, in my bones. I reached town, the hum fading, but the road's weight clung to me. The kids were gone, but their eyes stayed, a scar on my soul. The journal lay on the passenger seat, its warning clear. The hollow takes the lost. The fear was real, a presence I couldn't shake. I needed to end it. For me. For the kids. Trapped on that road. They were there, silent, staring, and I'd escaped. Amos met me, his face grim, carrying a book. His father's occultist's diary, detailing the hollow's binding. The hollow wasn't a ghost. It was a force woken by the Nightkin, feeding on souls, binding children to Route 17. They tried to seal it, burning the stones, but it survived, waiting for travelers. No one knew where they came from, but they were its lure. I remembered their eyes, pleading, and shivered. It wanted me next. Amos drew a salt circle, placing the journal in the center. "Name it," he said, "and burn it." I whispered, "Hollow," and lit the journal, the flames roaring, the symbols in my mind flaring. The air screamed, the fog outside swirling, the figure's eyes glowing through the window. I chanted the diary's words, the salt glowing, the scream fading. The presence retreated, but I felt it, waiting. The road stilled, the hum gone, but the fog lingered, a warning. I left town, Amos's book ash, but the hollow wasn't destroyed, just bound for now. I don't drive Route 17 anymore. Those kids, their eyes the fog, they're a wound that won't heal. The fear from that night is a ghost, haunting me. Still, I'm in a new town, but I'm not free. The hollow's shadow lingers, its call a whisper in my dreams. Amos calls, his voice heavy, warning me to stay away. He burned his father's things, but I kept a page hidden, its words a warning. It never sleeps. I researched the hollow, but history hides its tracks. A librarian, Amos's friend, found a tale, a native legend of a spirit bound to the land, woken by blood. The Nightkin stirred it, and it's never left. I called Amos, his voice shaking. I saw them on my road. My blood ran cold. It's not just Route 17. It's everywhere, in the dark, in the fog. The kids were its lure, and they're still out there. Last week, I found a symbol carved on my mailbox, faint but clear, like the stones. The hum is back, in my car, in my head. I lock the doors, keep the lights on, but it's there, in the silence, the night. I'm still scared, knowing it's not over. The hollow isn't bound forever. It's waiting, patient, eternal. Every road holds shadows, every night hides something. You see it in the quiet, feel it in the dark. I'm telling you this because you need to listen. Who's standing on your road? What's watching when no one's there? I faced it and it marked me. If you see kids where they shouldn't be, don't stop. Because some things take you and they never let go. He vanished into thin air right before my eyes. His fedora the last thing I saw as the train's whistle screamed. I stood frozen on the platform of a small town station, my heart pounding, the air heavy with a chill that didn't belong. It was 2003 and I'd just met him. An old man, Amos, at the train station. His eyes too sharp, his smile too knowing. He'd been there, waiting, his long coat swaying, staring at me like he knew my name. He didn't say much, just watched, but he knew things, my name, my train, like he'd been waiting for me. His voice was a whisper. "Clara, you're early today," though I'd never met him. I felt it then, something wrong, something not human about him. Who was Amos, and why did he appear only to disappear? The station was my daily haunt, a gray platform in a fading Ohio town where I caught the 6 a.m. to college. I was 19, chasing a degree, my life predictable, until Amos. He was always there, same spot, same coat, same hat, never changing, never aging. His presence was a shadow, his gaze a weight, making the platform feel like a trap. I clutched my bag, the whistle fading, but his absence was worse than his stare, a void that promised he'd return. Days later, Amos was back, same spot, same fedora, his eyes piercing through the morning fog. He was there every week, every month, always the same, like time didn't touch him. I avoided his gaze, but he'd whisper my name. Clara. His voice a cold breeze, knowing my schedule. My classes, things no stranger should. He never aged, never changed. His face frozen, his coat pristine, like he stepped out of a photograph. My stomach nodded, his presence a hum in the air, vibrating in my bones. I felt watched, always, like he was more than a man, like he was something else. He'd leave small gifts, a coin, a feather on the bench, each marked with my initials. The M etched impossibly deep. I started dreading the station, but he was always there, waiting, knowing me better than I knew myself. I checked my watch, rushing to the train, but he'd appear, his smile sharp, saying, "You're late today, Clara." How did he know? The platform felt alive, the air thick with his shadow. I was scared, scared he wasn't human, scared of what he wanted. One day, I found a note in my bag, his handwriting. "See you soon." The hum grew louder, a pulse I couldn't escape, and I knew he was closing in. The platform was deserted, the train late, when Amos appeared, his fedora, casting a shadow that moved without light. He was there, always there, his eyes burning, his smile not human, like he was something else, something old. I backed away, but he stepped closer, his voice a hiss. "Clara, stay." I felt it, the wrongness, the way he looked at me, like he knew my soul, like he'd always known me. The air froze, my breath visible, the hum now a roar shaking the ground. He never aged, never changed, and I knew then, he wasn't a man, wasn't human. He raised a hand and the platform warped, the tracks bending, the world twisting like a dream. I ran, but he was everywhere, his shadow stretching, his voice in my head calling my name. I tripped, the coin he'd left glowing in my pocket, burning my skin. Amos flickered, his form blurring, then solid again, his eyes voids now, endless. "You're mine," he whispered, and the train's lights flickered, plunging us into dark. I was terrified, certain he was a ghost, a demon, something that didn't belong. I screamed, bolting for the exit, the hum deafening, his shadow chasing, until the train roared in, its light breaking the spell. He vanished, but his whisper lingered, promising he'd return. I stopped going to the station, taking buses, avoiding trains, but Amos's shadow clung to me. I was scared, couldn't shake. Him couldn't forget his face, his voice, like he was still there, still watching. The coin stayed in a locked box, its glow pulsing through the wood, a reminder of that night. I avoided that station, moved away, but he was always there, in my dreams, never aging, never gone. I dug into the town's history, finding whispers of a man at the station, decades old, always the same. Fedora, coat, no name. I knew he wasn't human, knew he was something else. But I didn't know what, didn't know why he chose me. A librarian showed me a photo, 1950s. Amos's face unchanged, his eyes the same voids. I found a journal page in my bag. No source. His handwriting. Time doesn't touch me, Clara. My blood ran cold. I felt him always, like he was waiting. Like he'd never let me go. The hum followed, faint but growing, vibrating in my new apartment. Last week, a feather appeared on my doorstep, etched with CM, glowing faintly. I was trapped even now by a man who shouldn't exist, who shouldn't know me. Amos wasn't just a ghost, he was a force, and I was running out of places to hide. Years later, Amos's shadow lingers, a weight I can't escape. I still see him, in dreams, in shadows, his face unchanged, his eyes watching, like he's never left. The coin is buried, but its hum echoes, a pulse in the dark. I've built a life, a career, but the station haunts me, its platform a door he opened. I don't know what he is, a ghost, a demon, or something older, something that doesn't age. My new city feels safe, but the hum grows, the air heavy with his gaze. I'm scared, still scared, always looking over my shoulder, waiting for him to come back. Last week, a new note slipped under my door, his handwriting. Clara, I'm here. The feather glowed beside it, CM burning bright. He's out there, I know it, and I don't know why he chose me. The hum is louder, a roar now, shaking my walls. My husband dismisses it, but he doesn't know Amos, doesn't feel the void. I'm trapped, even now, by a man who shouldn't exist, who shouldn't know me. I've searched, archives, legends, but Amos is a ghost. Only his marks remain. Is he a man or something eternal tethered to me? So tell me, if you've seen a face that never ages, felt a shadow too close, I need to know. Because Amos isn't gone. He's waiting, and my time is running out. You've heard these stories, but their grip doesn't end with the last word. They linger, waiting for the right moment to surface again. When you're alone at night, when the wind whispers outside your window, or when your mind wanders to places it shouldn't. These 10 tales are only the beginning. There's much more hidden in the corners of this country, waiting for the curious or the brave enough to seek them out. You might tell yourself that it was just a video, just another set of eerie stories. But if you listen closely, you might hear the faintest echo, a sound that follows you as you turn off the lights tonight. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's everything. So if you dare, subscribe, because we're just scratching the surface. The real horrors are still out there, and they're waiting to be discovered.